car, and you can just see Pep Zuba pushing Florian Lamigra right over.
Here we go then, Valera, he looks left, he looks right, he's getting through the right hand side, which is the inside going into 10-3.
Here it is. This is the crucial moment in this race. And it's looking like it's only going one way. David Dott is going to take the race lead. Heading into the second half of the season, the Hungarian of David Dott has driven a masterclass here with the early pit stop. Not the ideal strategy, but an ideal race winner and an excellent performance.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Zuma into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone up into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, is already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Sandy goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Todd right now going into the pit lane.
Carousel immediately, he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off. He's been tapped and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin! Oh no!
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lawson does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean, and they're coming to the right hand, and this is it. Chris Lawson seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lawson takes it.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. It is the final weekend of the AMX Season 5 Sim Racing World Championship. It has been a great one so far, and today we are back out in Austria at the world-famous Red Bull Ring in the Renault Clios. I am Kevin, and joining me today alongside with Amir. Amir, I can't believe the season is already coming to a close this weekend. Where did the time go?
Oh, absolutely. I felt that the season just started maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, but it's been around for a few months, so it really has flown by quickly, and can't believe it's already the final weekend of action, but let's hope the races deliver and we can go off on a high.
So we got to be out at the Red Bull Ring a few weeks back, and we know this is one of those tracks that always has non-stop action, as well as I believe the last time we were in the Renault Clios out at Brands Hatch, out on the Indy layout. So car's a little bit underpowered from what most people may like, but definitely I know it's going to be a good one. I've seen already a few of the drivers out there, a few of the entrants. I know it's going to be a close one, but as always, for everyone out there watching on Twitch and YouTube, make sure to follow all of our social medias on the screen. We have X, TikTok, Instagram, all of the likes for all of our replays, highlights, schedules. Plus, we have an announcement coming up a little bit later on what's going to be going on next season, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But before we catch up with our drivers in the qualifying session, we have a few things to go over. Like I said, I can't believe this season it's already the final week, and we've been out here since May 25th, and we're going all the way through till tomorrow, August 18th. This season's prize pool of $15,000 plus next level racing gear, and our AMX 5 races go as following. You have our 20-minute qualifier, followed by that top 15 reverse grid, going into heat number 1 of 20 minutes, followed by a second top 15 reverse grid, finally going into that heat number 2 of 20 minutes. And for all of our drivers out there, driver cams are required. Get the link via our AMX Discord or on our website. And payouts are done in balances over $100 paid out every single month. So once you hit that $100 threshold, expect that money your way. Race days every single Saturday and Sunday this season. And like I said, head over to amxrace.com anytime, get signed up or catch up with the schedule. And like I said, definitely, now that we're going to be going on a break here soon, great time to see everything going on. We are here every Saturday and Sunday starting at 5:50 p.m. GMT, as well as every other week this season. We had AMX 0 brought back starting at 5:50 p.m. with the introduction of AMX 20, followed at 7 p.m. So 2 races per day. And speaking of money, we had our AMX 5 race prize pool. So each race, this is what we're looking like with qualifying and heats number 1 and 2. First place getting $15, followed by second place getting $10, third $9, all the way down into 15th place. And during heat 1 and 2, the fastest lap set will get an extra $2 added to their total for total prize pool per race of $250. And if you want to get in here and win some of this money, right now for AMX 5, you have to have a minimum road I rating of 2,000 to be eligible. So here it is, folks, our top 10 going into the final weekend for AMX 5. Coming in all the way down, starting at 10th place, we have Peter Zuba. 9th place, Dino Filippa. 8th, Toby Soriano. 7th, Ralph Benitez. 6th, Evandro Dantas. 5th, Pedro Dean. 4th place, Gaston Kulavi. Coming in 3rd place, we have Jackson SNJ at 548.5 points. 2nd place, Bruno De Carmo at 597.5. And your current leader, sitting at the top spot, Gael Valero, with a total of 680 points. So Gael Valero been absolutely dominating it out here this season. Looking like he may very well be walking out of here back-to-back champ. So like I said, it's not official, but that man nearly has it in the bag with just a couple races left to go. I know he's going to be coming out here pretty comfortable, so hopefully we'll get to hear from him later on too. But like I said, there is your current top 10 going into the final weekend. Also, a big thing, everyone make sure to stay tuned in tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT. We will have a next level racing gear giveaway during our AMX 20 race. So like I said, tomorrow, Sunday, August 18th, 7 p.m. GMT over on our Twitch. So AMX_global at our Twitch. Make sure to head over there if you're not already subscribed to it. We have plenty of gear to be giving away for all of our viewers out there. So we have our gear given away for the champions, but also we want to give something back to you at home watching. So make sure to stay tuned in tomorrow for that. As well as a lot of people have been asking for a while now, we finally have it. Of course, we've mentioned a few teasers. Next season, season 6 of AMX coming back. So we'll be taking a few breaks off and coming back stronger than ever with new formats. This time bringing endurance races. We heard the drivers, we heard the fans, everyone wanting their endurance races, plus multiple tiers still. So like I said, make sure to head over to our Discord over at AMX Discord to get more updates on this, as well as keep an eye on the website once we start doing that. So we'll be back in a few weeks after this weekend, coming this fall, AMX season 6. I'm looking forward to this one. And there's a bit of a rumor out there too that going for season 6, we're also going to be having a bit of closing with a bang for that. A couple events out there, one possibly pretty big event with some great prizes. So definitely stay tuned to what we have coming for season 6. So like we said, Amir, we're back at the Red Bull Ring. I know this one has been, I'd say, probably become a fan favorite, as well as a lot of drivers out here putting it down on this track.
Oh yeah, certainly, Kevin. And the fact that we've had the full layout, right, this with AMX 20 in the GT cars, now we have something completely different. This is still the Red Bull Ring by location, but look at the circuit length. This is the national layout where we bypass the first sector, coming straight around to the third sector right here into the final 2 corners. Located in the city of Styria, in the Styrian Mountains, beautiful region of Austria, and one of the most picturesque circuits in world racing. I gotta say, opened first in 1969. Not to be confused with a circuit that was opened nearby, which is called Zellweg, which is an airport circuit, but the Österreich Ring, A1 Ring, now Red Bull Ring, has become a prominent part of the World Championship calendar in Formula 1 and in racing series around Europe. But to accompany this track, we have a perfect car for it around the short layout. And it's none other than the Renault Clio Cup cars that we're going to be racing around the national circuit of the Red Bull Ring. We got 200 horsepower-ish front-wheel drive, so it's going to be a proper touring car style driving. Just a tad over a ton and sequential gearbox, so the drivers don't really have to go H-pattern and try to work their way through the gears. And for this circuit, personally, I really like it because I do a lot of sim racing coaching with this very circuit on another platform, and it has a good mix of corners. You have long, winding, fast corners, and then quick technical sections that you really have to get the car placed in the right direction, otherwise you might go off. So perfect track and perfect car to go with it. This really will be close, rip snorting racing that we're going to be expecting here today, Kevin.
Oh, definitely. So we're going to check in on our drivers, see where everyone's at. Like I said, I already got a bit of a peek at the grid earlier, and one of the things right here we have looking like so far the 2 Frenchmen out here, of course, Corentin Guinez and Gael Valero putting it down out here. We see a lot of these guys out here on track, typically used to the TCR cars. So out here in the Renault Clios, they are front wheel drive, but just a little bit slower than what we would be out in a TCR car. But nonetheless, I expect it to be what we've seen all season long, door-to-door racing, maybe a little bit of drama on the track. It's looking like it's not too warm out there, a fairly nice day, looking about 32 degrees out there, which roughly 90 degrees Fahrenheit as well. So pretty nice warm summer day out there on the track. We'll have to see if it cools down or starts to heat up out there. Usually these cars, the only thing that I'd say is a little bit harder to get a grip on them being front wheel drive is these things understeer like crazy. So especially if you're very used to a rear wheel drive car, hopping in here in one of these front wheel drive, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to that front wheel drive again. So definitely one of these things these drivers are going to have to look out for, trying not to overcook those front tires going into some of these sharp corners.
Well, absolutely, Kevin. And given the fact that it is 50 degrees C on track right now, really will put pressure on those front tires, because of course, remember, front wheel drive means that all the drive goes to those front wheels, and if you scrub it, you're really going to suffer with understeer afterwards, and it will take a while to cool off because it will not get any easier to get it back into optimal temperatures. So what Guinness is doing right now is just basically do 2 sighting laps. You can see the first lap he kind of waved it off. Second lap he's also using it as just something, build it up. Now he's gonna go for it here, Kevin.
So we can see as well as everyone watching at home live, you can scan the little QR code on your screen and that will go to our live timing. That way you can get a little bit more information from all of the drivers, fastest laps, fastest sectors, and the like. But right now, still sitting at that top spot, looks like we have Corentin Guinez. So Corentin, absolutely great out here. We've seen him in the TCR class, just an absolute monster out there. One of the best in the world for these front wheel drive vehicles. So I expect nothing less. Very characteristic of him to already be setting the fastest lap times. But like we said, your current champ sits right behind him pretty close so far, only about 0.06 of a second off of that top time. As well as we have a couple other AMX veterans out there. Ralph Benitez, Jackson Asenje. This season, Ayrton Reutemann has been coming out strong as well. Marcos Saavedra, Pedro Muras. So we have quite a good grid out there today. Looking like a lot of these drivers, pretty much everyone going to be making that reverse grid out here so far today. So we'll have to wait and see. I know we got to see Diego Villarreal as well, another person that's been with us for a very long time out here at AMX, showing up all the time. Love to see him out here on track as well today.
Absolutely. It's all familiar names, and for these guys, they might know already how everybody behaves on track, so it's a plus for everyone to know how everyone can race each other. But then again, these are the Renault Clio Cup cars that are basically falling in line with the touring car class that we've raced before, especially TCRs. You might expect some door-hander to door-hander action and a couple of wing mirrors falling off. Who knows? It's just going to be that intense once everything comes to the punch. As we look at now, one driver who might possibly be the one that's going to set the fastest lap of the entire session, Gael Valero, on track at the moment. He crosses the line here, and he goes even faster by about 0.09 of a second there, Ron Guinness.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely think it's the livery out here happening today that's making him a little bit faster. But yeah, Gael Valero out here, known he's part of the Apex racing team at just 28 years old. Definitely one of our most consistent drivers out here on the field. He got a championship last season and is looking to make that another one in the bag. So how it's looking in qualifying right now, I'd say, I mean, he pretty much has this one in the bag. He's pretty much just going to have to go out here, you know, run his race, do what he does week in and week out. And at the end of today, he may very well be our champion for Season 5, AMX 5. So right now, we'll have to see, though, as the battle going on back and forth. Definitely going to have to keep an eye out for the two French drivers once we get into Heat 1 and Heat 2. But here's another AMX veteran that's been with us for quite a while, Jackson Asenje. So one of the Brazilian drivers, part of the Delite Esports team as well, which we love having those guys out here. We see a lot of them. Of course, Delite Esports known for Tony Kanaan. But here we go, Jackson Asenje now sitting in 4th place. During the season, most of the season, it was back and forth. 1st and 2nd place, Gael Valero and Jackson Asenje, until Bruno De Carmo started making up a lot of ground this second half of the season and able to get into that 2nd place position. So right now, still, Jackson Asenje in 3rd for overall points this season in AMX 5. Still another very consistent driver, like I've said before, probably one of the best defenders out there that we've seen in AMX. So right now, currently, he is sitting in 5th place out here.
Yeah, and again, though one of those guys that is fast behind anything that he drives, and in TCRs there's no exception. But this is a completely different animal. It's much bountier compared to the TCR cars, these Renault Clio Cup cars. You can see by the ground clearance. If you hit those curves a bit too hard, you might just see two-wheel action. It might be a possibility, as you can see coming up to turn 1. Oh, we missed out on that, how is it going to happen. But going further up the road, this is Nikodem Vizvicki. Just going to say, if someone hits the curve at the right angle, you might see some two-wheel action. So let's hope that it happens so that we can get some really good money shots.
Yeah, and I see someone there asking in chat about the giveaway. So just a reminder for that, we will be doing that tomorrow on Twitch. So make sure tomorrow you head over 7 p.m. GMT. We're going to be having some next level gear giveaway going on for our AMX 20 race. So like I said, tomorrow, 7 p.m. GMT on Twitch, AMX Global. But back to what is going on there today. So we're just under 5 minutes left here in the qualifying. We'll have to see. So far, it's still Gael Valero sitting up top, followed by Corentin Guinez and Marcos Saavedra. So Saavedra able to get up, and it's just as I say that, Bruno De Carmo now getting up into that 2nd place position. So Currently, your top two of the overall season for AMX5, Gael Valero, Bruno De Carmo, showing exactly why that's where they are in the standings. Gael Valero still holding on with a 58.514, so still has a little bit of an advantage over the other drivers, but these guys have 4 minutes out here. Like we said, with these being sub 1 minute lap times, these guys have still just enough time to get in there, see if that grid is going to get shaken up once again.
Absolutely, and the fact that it might look like a while to go, 4.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes to be exact. But as you said, with sub-minute lap here, times can just tumble quickly because drivers are still circling around here, and with all of them, well, in fact now most of them are on track, we might just see times quickly go as we see the Carmo coming to the pits. He's a bit abandoned that particular run. We go further behind. This is Villarreal, who might be on pole position for the reverse when we reverse the grid. He's coming across the line here. Looks as though it's not going to be an improvement. And it is not, but Guinness goes on to pole position. It goes to first with the fastest time so far.
And here we go. So here we see another one, Diego Villarreal, right there, the Sart driver. He's been, I know I got to see out there too, especially all of these guys out there. I know they have their social medias, different things, especially a lot of the guys out here working hand in hand with their teams. Got to see Diego Villarreal, one of the older drivers out there, but like I said, one of the most consistent drivers that we've seen out here at AMX for Team Sart. And I see he just made an announcement, I wonder if this was yesterday or the day before, but very recently, that he was one of the team principals for Sart, one of the main guys, that he is now still going to be on the team, but kind of stepping down a little bit from his roles. So I love seeing that. Like I said, we kind of try to keep up with a lot of drivers, keep up with everyone. I know it's kind of, in a way, like one big family around here with all the AMX drivers. A lot of community going on here, a lot of guys really supporting each other, as well as just the whole sim racing community. We can see there as well with his teammate, another Sart driver in the number 8, Gaston Pulavi. So both of those drivers out here today. Great to see them. But like we said, we only have 2 minutes left in this qualifying. Amir, what do you think? I don't know if it's too early to have choices, but who do you think may be walking away with heat number 1?
Ooh, good question there. And judging by the pace, it looks as though Guy Valero might be the one to walk away from here as the winner in that first heat, based on the pace alone. But Guinness is going to run him close, so the two Frenchmen are going to be up in front, and I will be betting that the Carmo might give them a good chase as well. So all three of the fast guys right at the back might just be covering their way through and just create some excitement along the way.
Absolutely, and like we've seen last week, and so Bruno De Carmo putting up a good fight. I know he was really trying to do whatever he could to get up to that top spot to try and overtake Gael Valero last weekend. Did a pretty good job, but just unfortunately getting involved in a few incidents, and that kind of was his race in the bags. But we got to hear from him too. You know, like I said, a lot of good sportsmanship out here at AMX. A lot of these guys, even though they're laying everything out on the track, they're still at the end of the day able to say, you know what, all right, I did what I did. Sometimes you get a little bit too aggressive, sometimes you go to the other drivers, but able to really just say, you know, hey man, my bad, I just drove a little bit too hard, and really make up for that. Hey, we're going to get back out there next time and leave it back out on the track. But here we go, like we said, Quentin Guinez trying to get one more lap. Looks like this might be his last chance to get up into that top spot if there ever was a chance. So still barely sitting behind Gael Valero, who Gael Valero already in the pits. And it looks like Quentin Guinez will not. So everyone's pretty much heading out to the pit lane right now, Amir.
Yeah, but it's as though everyone's betting off that lap except a few others who are still running. Saavedra is one of them, but I don't think he has enough time to even cross the line, because now we're gonna head straight into the first heat.
So there we go, looking like Gael Valero holding on to that top spot there during qualifying. So he will be shifted back to the back of the grid. Like we said, top 15 reverse grid for all of our drivers. And out here today, looks like we have about 14 drivers out on the grid. So all of them will be making that reverse grid. That will put Diego Villarreal up onto pole. But there is your BenQ session winner out here for race 45, qualifying first as one of the best drivers out here, Gael Valero, holding on to that top spot. In second place, right behind him, Quentin Guinez. Third place, Bruno De Carmo. Fourth, Marco Saavedra. Fifth place, Ralph Benitez. Sixth, Jackson SNJ. Seventh, Ayrton Roitman. Eighth, David Givok. Ninth, Pedro Mora. 10th Nikodem Wierzbicki, 11th Gaston Kulavi, 12th Evandro Dantas, 13th Pedro Dean, and rounding it out in 14th Diego Villarreal. So let's see as these drivers now starting to get up on the grid, everyone gridding. Man, I'm expecting a bit of a chaotic first race. It just seems like every time we get into some front-wheel drive vehicles, it's just that first few corners definitely getting a little bit sketchy out here. So we'll have to wait and see as these drivers are moments away from going green. Heat number 1 out here, AMX 5.
Yep, and a couple of drivers at the front there looking to try to hold back. Pedro D might be one of those potential race winners here, Kevin, but lights are going to come in again pretty soon.
Yeah, and we had Pedro Dean last week and put it on a great show, but unfortunately just being a passenger to some other incidents, just being an innocent bystander, getting caught up in those, crushing those chances for that podium finish. But here we go as the drivers revving it up, waiting for the green light to go. Let's see who gets a great start right here. I think this is what's going to come down to. So most of the drivers, especially up front, getting a pretty decent start. We see right away immediately from Diego Villarreal taking that defensive line, making sure he can shift over. So we'll see if he's able to hold on to it, though. As we know, we have a few quick drivers. Pedro Dean right behind him, too, as well. So especially, I think out here, too, I'm going to be having to spot out a lot of the good liveries. I know a lot of these teams usually have their team liveries. A lot of guys out here, though, in the Renault Clios running as we are now. A couple turns in, and oh, no, looks like Wierzbicki gets caught up, getting sent off the track out right there. So you might have to fight his way to come back or just wait till heat number 2, Amir.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. I think he got tapped around by either Mora or colossally his own countryman G-Walk there. So we might just get a replay very soon on that. Of course, our production team magazine works very fast to get good replays here. That will compromise Wierzbicki a bit, but he's not that far behind, all things considered. He can still gain on it because look at that. The field is still very close together, and we got Saavedra going to the pit lane, possibly for jumping the start here. A bit chaotic, but the main point here, quite a few drivers that we tipped to do the business are coming through, including the likes of Guinness and the Carmo carving their way up to the front. Valero not the best of starts, as we can see what happened further behind at the start of the lap now.
So you can see it looks like those guys there going 3 wide. Definitely something just a little bit too aggressive there. Looking like, ooh, unfortunately there, that might have been Dantas just clipping Wierzbicki going to the inside. So like I said, trying to go 3 wide there. He just got a little bit squeezed. They thought they might have had a little bit more space between them, but unfortunately just clipping the rear fender and getting sent off the track just like that. But now we see Quentin Guinez so far making up quite a lot of pace already, up 5 positions from where he started at. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on him throughout this race as he makes his way up towards the podium. Right now, the onboard of Gaston Kulavi. We have a great 3-way battle going on for first place. These guys, like I said, great thing about these cars, they can take a little bit of abuse. You know, you never want to intentionally be shunting these guys out of the way. But now side by side, Pedro Dean, Diego Villarreal, here we go. Looking to the inside right now. Pedro Dean has the line over Villarreal and looking like he will hold on to that top spot.
Yeah, and he was on the inside there just now, so he got a good run out of that final corner to get into the front ahead of Villarreal. Villarreal, though, he's giving way to Kulhavi, so that's teammate giving way to teammate to his detriment. And there he goes, he gets punted off there, and this time Mora gets involved with him. So Villarreal then off into the gravel trap and right at the back where he actually qualified anyway. So, oh, more incidents happening here.
There we see Jackson Ascension getting taken out. Looks like they're Pedro Mora to the back. A bunch of people there getting caught up. So, I mean, we kind of expected it earlier. I said there might be a little bit of carnage going out here in heat number 1, and that's what we've seen so far. These guys putting it out here, just getting quite aggressive out here. But I think, you know, we got to see that last time when the Renault Clios were out at Brands Hatch. These guys definitely doing whatever they can. A lot of damage to these cars out here today as well. So we'll have to see. Is right now still Al Valero holding on to the fastest lap so far, but currently sitting in 7th place. So he still has to battle his way all the way through the pack. And that's the lovely thing that we see about here with the reverse grid, giving a bit of a chance back for those people that maybe didn't have the best qualifying to still hold on to a podium position out here in heat number 1. But we'll have to see. Like we said, a lot of those fastest drivers now making their way up, but now we can see the incident down there in the bottom right-hand screen, Amir.
Yeah, let's see what happened here. This is actually Dean getting involved with Villarreal. It looks as though He was around the outside, held his line, or probably be a net code involved there initially that pitched him around. But after that, Dean's momentum just finished not only Villarreal but also himself going into the gravel trap. That puts paid to any sort of good result they're going to have here. They can look forward to the second heat race after this. In fact, no, that wasn't Dean getting involved. That looked like it was Mora actually. So Mora getting at the back in there, involved with that one. Still, disaster for the both of them. They can look forward at least to the second heat race, as now we're looking now from the back of Dean, still leading the race in front of Kulhavi.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion there. I know Pedro Dean usually running the neon green liveries out here with a lot of his team cars, so I think that too. It's a bit odd to see some of these guys in different colors out here today, but nonetheless, still Pedro Dean doing a great job. But here we have, like we said, towards the middle of the pack, the chase for 6th place, Gael Valero, Ayrton Reutman, and David Givok behind them right there. So, of course, Gael Valero in the sunny, the Need for Speed Most Wanted livery, one of the coolest things. We're not out here in Golf GTIs, but we're still out here on another small hot hatch front wheel drive vehicle. So we'll have to see. Doing great, of course, like we said, Gael Valero getting that top spot during qualifying so far, doing great out here with his pace is right on pace for being the fastest driver. But once you just get caught up in traffic, that unleashes a whole nother thing, especially when you introduce lower horsepower vehicles, making it really hard. You don't quite have the advantage of the draft. It looks like here we go into a full screen replay of what was going on earlier. So looking like they're the number 6 Pedro Dean, and right there with Quarantine Guinez just right on the outside. These guys getting super close, and unfortunately, never mind, that wasn't Pedro Dean, that was someone else in the same one, Jackson Asenje. I apologize there. So Asenje getting sent off and unfortunately getting hit by another vehicle on the way out. Looking like that threw him back into the pits where he is still sitting there. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Someone get out the flex tape. We got to repair his car, but he's still out in the pits right now getting repaired. So Jackson Sanjay looking like he's going to have to come back out here for heat number 2 to get back up on the podium contention.
Yeah, that car looking very second rate, but he did deploy the fast repair. But it looks as though I think he might have given up on this one, just to look forward to the second heat as we are seeing the rest of the field coming by here. So still a snake that forms from 1st all the way to 9th, I would say, because Dantas is still involved in this fight as well. Pretty close, all things considered, despite the initial scuffles. As we can see, a factory Renault colored car coming at the back. That is Ralph Benitez, and behind him is a tribute to Daniel Ricciardo's livery from 2020. That's being run by Bruno De Carmo then in P4, still about half a second behind. But Kulhavi dies for the lead. Benitez tries to follow through, but Dean holds firm, only for a corner, because by the next corner, Benitez has the line in the inside. He takes away second place. So they're going to go side by side here across the line.
And that's always something that's hard to do. So like we said, just barely leaving the door open, but those other drivers taking advantage of it. Now Kulhavi going to have to be on the defense, as well as Ralph Benitez there, Bruno De Carmo. So Ralph Benitez looking like him and Pedro Dean side by side as well. So Kulhavi now hopefully going to take advantage of that. You know, he's saying, all right, I was able to squeeze by, get that move. I'm going to let the guys behind me all fight it out, try to get away from a lead. So right now, in just a very short amount of time, already a second over the other drivers. Everyone, oh no, there's a little bit of contact right there between Pedro Dean. Ralph Benitez now, unfortunately, going off of the track. So luckily not getting spun out entirely, but now getting shifted down all the way back into 7th place.
And would you believe we're not even past the halfway point, but so much has happened already over the last 8 laps. Heading into lap number 10 after this, then we can really see whether the drivers are trying to go for broke and try to win this race. Though for Gaston Kulhavi, he actually deployed to overtake earlier, has made a beeline for it, 2 seconds ahead of Pedro Dean, as we are now looking from Bruno De Carmo's view. He is holding Quentin Guinness along coming into turn number 1, and I think Guinness is just sizing him up, not going to overtake for now. Though he's going to have to get the move on quickly, because look at that train of cars behind. 6 cars waiting to take advantage of if something happens.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing that's going to come down to out here is forcing those drivers ahead of you to make a mistake. Like we've seen there, great move of Quentin Guinness just hanging on to the bumper of Bruno De Carmo. So I think that's what's going to come down to out here today is, you know, these drivers, of course, we've already seen quite a few incidents out here, but it's going to come down to forcing those little mistakes to be able to overtake them. Not a lot of passing room out here. Looks like a lot of these guys trying to make most of the passes going onto the home stretch out there before turn 1 into turn 1. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, we have 20 laps out here. These guys doing sub 1 minute laps. So definitely zooming around here. It looks like they'll probably have, close to 20 overtaking opportunities easily. But here we see, let's see if Corentin Guinez still in the train, as well as Gael Valero able to pack up behind him and leaving room. Like we mentioned, these guys battling it out now. Gaston Kulavi over a 2-second lead over second place.
And the Carmo doesn't have an answer for the pace that Kulavi has taken. Now it's going to be overtaken by Corentin Guinez, and Valero follows suit as well. So amazingly, despite the Carmo being third fastest in the qualifying session, he is not able to translate it into the race in terms of pace. And the Frenchmen, both of them have gone through. Now they're going to give chase to the Argentine up in front. Kulhavi, he made an early break for it. Now let's see if he can do it for the next half of the race.
And that's one thing that I love seeing out here. So although the Renault Clios are one of those kind of entry-level cup car races, one of those entry-level series, definitely great to see what it can be done when you put it in the hands of professionals like these out here. It's been some of the best racing all season long. Like we said, of course, with these cars, the TCR cars, the GT4s, definitely some of the closest races that we had this season. And speaking of that, we have coming up next after this race too as well, the GT4s will be heading back over to Sebring, back to the United States, one of the most popular endurance racetracks in the world. We'll have to see how those guys hold out on the GT4s. But back to what's going on here. We are just over halfway through heat number 1. Gaston Kulavi still leading the race, followed by Corentin Guinez in second and Gael Valero in third place.
Yep, Valero just managing to get in front there, or the Carmo falling from Guinez. Giwok now has also followed suit, getting in front of the Carmo. So the Carmo has dropped about 3 positions in the space of just a lap. He really is not enjoying this phase of the race. Maybe his tires are getting a little bit too hot for their own good and just not giving the amount of grip that he wanted. As we look at Giwok's car, he was the one that actually rear-ended the back of Jackson Rossetti. He didn't deploy the fast repair, so he's running without bumper, but that doesn't seem to be affecting the car that much. And certainly guys in front here who are involved in the earlier skirmishes aren't affected at all in terms of performance. Valero goes into P2, dropping Guinness to P3, but Guinness fights back immediately and goes back up to P2. They're going side by side. This is not going to do their race very good, because the harder they fight, the rest of the field will come by through, and that will give Kulhavi a bit more breathing room up in front here, Kevin.
And right there we can see the side by side. So that's what we expected to see. Seeing these guys going back and forth during qualifying, first and second. These guys, until Corentin Guinez, of course, like we said, kind of dropping back just a little bit. Them trying to squeeze out every single ounce of energy out of these cars. But now it's back and forth between the two French drivers out here. You know, I think that's kind of the prediction we made. We're expecting this to be the two French drivers up on the podium, and that's looking like where they're going to be so far. So we'll just have to see if they're able to catch up. I'm not sure, like you mentioned, the more they fight, the more of a lead Gaston Kulavi will get ahead of them. So they definitely may have to work together just a bit, but I don't see that happening out here today. Like I said, these drivers looking for every single opportunity to take, looking for any little window to stick their nose into and get that position. And that, right there, a little bit of a lockup going in there. That's one of those things that we mentioned earlier with the tire, where these front-wheel drive vehicles, they're definitely very understeery. So especially out here with a little bit warmer of a track, we'll have to see if that comes into play these last 5 laps or so with these drivers. Once they start locking up those wheels, start overheating those tires, they're only going to be understeering more and more, and it's going to start compounding. So definitely not the easiest car to drive out here, even though it is one of the more entry-level vehicles. Once you start pushing it hard, it takes a lot to reel it back in.
Yeah, certainly, and there's no respite, especially a track with constant corners coming, especially after the first 2 turns at the circuit. It's just never ending, isn't it? There's not enough time to even cool off the tires. You're gonna do that on the straight, but then if you see guys behind, you start moving again, you will lose that opportunity to actually cool off the tires. Now this is the case for Guinness. If he has pushed those tires hard, like locking up again there, you can see the puff of smoke that come out, will really affect his driving, and Valero likewise will be seeing it as well. If he starts locking up almost out of sympathy to react the way Guinness has been driving, it's also going to hurt his tires. and his position on track, because Zewok, the Carmo, Benitez are all there to pounce in case something happens between the both Frenchmen.
So now we see currently lap 14 of 20 out here, and these guys still battling it out for second place, but also that battle's left everyone else to slowly start catching up to them. Like you mentioned, Amir, these guys, we'll have to see. It's very close, still less than a second between these three drivers now battling it out. But Gael Valero now making the move over Corentin Guinez. Guinez trying to go to the inside, and what happened? He just dropped another couple positions right there. We might have to see if he had to serve a slowdown from the previous corner. That's very uncharacteristic. So possibly a slowdown now, putting Corentin Guinez back all the way down into 5th place. He's going to have to definitely has his work cut out for him to fight back up if he wants to get back up on the podium.
I'm looking at the off-track counters on the side here. It looks as though Guinez actually has one among the third most in terms of corner cuts, only behind Villarreal, Visviki. That's the two drivers that have cut the track the most, so maybe he's probably got it somewhere on the track where we were looking from behind just now. Either way, he had to back it off. Now he's going to have to fight back, but because of that, he's managed to cool off the tires just a bit, and this might just be a blessing in disguise for him, because now he can just try to attack back here, though valuable ground has been lost, especially to his fellow countryman Valero, who's tried to scamper way up in front.
Yeah, of course. So we've seen him do it earlier. We'll have to see if he's able to do it again. We know he has the pace in him to be able to get back up to the podium, but will he have enough laps to be able to make it happen out here? So right now, another driver, as we see the great onboard shot of just how hard these guys are pushing it, the tire smoke coming off right there. Ralph Benitez, who was a little bit higher up earlier. Now, like we said, these drivers, everyone's been just door to door. We've seen quite a few incidents earlier on. It seems like everyone has settled down just a little bit. Jackson Asenje still sitting in the pits, so I think looking like Jackson Asenje now maybe just waiting, holding off, saying all right, his race was over once he got clipped and thrown into the wall. Had a lot of damage to repair, so I think he's just going to be holding it off into the pits, just waiting, get that composure back for heat number 2 and get out there on pole position, see what he can do. But right now, still Ralph Benitez sitting right in the middle of the pack in 6th place, as we see the drivers in front of him, about a half-second gap between everyone. So they're starting to spread out just a little bit. Like we said, the track out here looks to be getting not really quite warmer, still roughly around the same. Track temps out here are roughly 50 degrees C, so a little bit warm out here. Like we see a lot of tire smoke going on too, but definitely that's what you got to do out here. Corentin Guinez now looking like he is a bit faster through Sector 1 and Sector 2 over Bruno De Carmo, so we're going to have a battle on our hands once again between these two drivers, Amir.
Yep, and it's a completely different script here in terms of where they were battling. Just now we saw them trying to battle for the podium, but with the way that Zewok is actually holding out the rest of the field here, Valero can actually get away. In fact, he's only about 0.6 of a second behind Kulhavi. This might be a change for the race win. As you can see, the Carmo, he's shaking his fist in absolute fear right now. In fact, he's just wiping his face a bit, but you can see they're clutching his face. He knew full well that he had Guinez right behind, but because he went a bit wide coming into that final corner, had to give up a few positions. That slow penalty has really costed him. Well, actually cost him position, only one position to his fellow countryman Benitez, but ground to Guinez.
And right there, that's really showing Corentin's his experience in front-wheel drive cars. Like we said, we've seen him out here in the TCR. He's an absolute beast out there, one of the best TCR drivers in the world. And coming out here, showing that experience, really paying off in the Renault Clios out here today. So we'll have to see. He only has a couple of laps, though, and quite a bit of pace to make up, about half a second if he wants to get on the podium. But here we go. Gaston Kulavi trying to fight off Gael Valero. Gael Valero, of course, being the quickest out there in qualifying, and now trying to get back up onto that top spot. So we'll have to see. Currently, Valero still holding the fastest lap out here with a 58.68 out here in heat number 1. And here he goes for the move out here. Only a couple laps left. Gael Valero with the inside line holding onto it. Gaston Kulavi still trying to hold right onto the rear bumper of Gael Valero.
Yep, but it looks as though it might be a bit futile. I don't know what happened to Valero, to Kulhavi's lead at one point. It was so impervious, but then suddenly the gap was just out there. Maybe again it's one of those cases where he might have actually exceeded track limits and the penalty was issued to him. He had to back it off, and that's why Valero manages to actually reel him in and take the lead. So we did see just now 7 seconds at one point. So Kulhavi is the one that's doing the chasing as opposed to being the chasee.
Yeah, and looking at the time, the last lap, it looks like Gael Valero was about half a second quicker than Gaston Kulhavi. So definitely these cars being absolute momentum cars, you have to really get great exits. As now the white flag is out, folks. So here we go. Gael Valero leading in first, Gaston Kulhavi in second, and David Givak trying to fight off Corentin Guinness, who's looking to get onto that third place position. So we have the battle going on right here, a battle for first as well as a battle for third. See the flashing of the lights right there. Corentin Guinness just trying every little thing to get David Givak to make a mistake out here on the final lap.
Yep, this is the old intimidation tactic, isn't it? But that is part of the fair game rules. Unless, of course, you're in GT racing nowadays, especially given the fact that you cannot flash more than 3 seconds straight. But in this case, we can still flash as much as we want. Valero is well on his way to actually taking the win here, but the battle for the podium is still not over unless something happens to G1 coming to the last corner. Guinness has a setup for fourth, but Valero, though, up in front, crosses the line and takes a comprehensive win. He had to work for it, but he went through here.
So once again, another big congratulations to Gael Valero. He was fastest in qualifying and now taking home the fastest lap as well as first place in heat number 1. So we definitely might see if he's able to pull out the hat trick out here today. Amir, I have no doubt that he has it in him from how he's driving out here today. He said, I came in here leading the championship. I'm going to only further prove why I am going to be champion once again. And like we said, just with that, furthering the points as the rest of the drivers now making their way across the field. And I love Marco Saavedra. The look of his car right there, looking quite muddy, quite beat up. Some of these liveries out here are getting a kick out of what these guys are driving. I know too. I'd probably be right out there if I was on track with them too. So some of the meme liveries, some of the great ones, but there is Gael Valero, your BenQ session winner for heat number 1 out here, doing it in style. Coming in second place, we got Gaston Kulhavi. Third place, David Givak. Fourth, Corentin Guinness. Fifth, Ralph Benitez. Sixth, Arjen Reutemann. 7th place, Nikodem Wierzbicki. 8th, Pedro Dean. 9th, Evandro Dantas. 10th place, Pedro Moura. 11th, Bruno De Carmo. 12th, Diego Villarreal. 13th, Marco Saavedra. And rounding out 14th, we have Jackson Isenje. So like I said, folks, definitely these guys we'll have to see is there. Gael just getting a bit of a water, getting hydrated, getting ready to grid once again. We'll just have to wait and see, though, as he was the quickest out here all day long so far on these cars. He's going to have to fight his way back through from P14 all the way up. Let's see if he can make it happen again in heat number 2.
Green, green, green.
Yeah, people should be asking, how's Gael? But we should be asking, where was Gael? There, he was just taking a bit of a sip as we now go straight into the second heat almost immediately. Luckily, Gael actually got the drink before that. Otherwise, he would have actually been left straight on the grid. We're on the way here now, Kevin.
So here we go. Like we said, these drivers off. Marco Saavedra not having the greatest of starts, starting to get past a couple people. Jackson Isenje, Bruno De Carmo. So the Delinque Esports drivers now taking the lead early on, which is where you want to be, because right here looking like we have a bit of door banging, a bit of people carnage going on. Pedro Moura unfortunately getting sent back, shoved all the way down. Ralph Benitez up. So we have quite a few going on. Of course, like we seen last heat, these guys going 3 wide out here, which of course you can maybe get away with that a little bit, but that's definitely looking for a lot of danger. You're asking to just get sent into the wall almost at that point. And ooh, a little bit of bumper to bumper action as well from Pedro Dean. These guys, man, as another spin out there getting pitted, we have David Givak got pitted and now sent off the track. So we're gonna definitely have to see the replay on that one. But now we have Corentin Guinness taking advantage of all of the chaos, driving through it, if you might say, up all the way to 4th place so far.
Wow, we did say earlier that it's going to be a rich snorting affair, and it has been so far up to this point. Quite a few accidents at the start of the previous heat. This one is no different. Many drivers going off left, right, and center. You can see what happened to Pedro Moura. It looks as though he tried to go around the outside of what looks a bit Villarreal. Gets punted, hits the barrier broadside, but mercifully fast repair enabled him to keep going, though that compromised his race from beginning to right there, as a couple of the drivers falling foul of the start there, including Jackson Isenje. We thought he was going to be up in front, but he is well back again, as De Carmo, though, conversely, the other Brazilian, is right up in front here.
So unfortunately, like we said earlier on, Jackson Senji, Bruno DeCarmo were leading the race, but now Jackson Senji looking like he is out of this one. So we'll have to see exactly what happened there. But right now, Bruno DeCarmo doing a great job trying to lead over Marco Saavedra. Quentin Guinez already up 8 positions from where he started in just a couple of laps. So it may look like Quentin Guinez has a great shot at winning this one, but also don't forget Gael Valero as well in the middle of the pack, up 8 positions as well. So the two French drivers showing that they are some of the best out here, but we see an incident there. David Chibok, it looks like that might have been Ayrton Royman on the outside, and just again, trying to go 3 wide through here has not panned out for any of these drivers. Every single time nearly, it seems like someone gets sent off the track. So unfortunate for those two. Pedro Mora now down 8 positions from where he started on the grid. But now it's going to be the battle between Marco Saavedra and Bruno DeCarmo.
Indeed, and it looks as though DeCarmo might just be having the bit between his teeth in this heat, because he's already made a beeline for it, 3 seconds ahead of Guinness as he comes to look across the line behind Saavedra. Saavedra, though, has actually claimed the fast lap of the race until Guinness is showing his claws right now. He takes the fastest lap of the way. So it's actually ebbing and flowing in his initial stages, but I think DeCarmo is trying to work with Saavedra so that he doesn't end up losing the gap here. Plus, the slipstream is all important, so he has to work together. Cannot fight, otherwise he will lose the momentum and will bring Guinness into play.
So like we see out here, Marco Saavedra now still leading. We're only 4 laps into it, and it's already been just an absolutely chaotic event out here so far on heat number 2. These drivers just putting on, but there's been a huge gap so far now between Bruno DeCarmo in second and Quentin Guinez in 3rd place. So we know Guinez has a lot of pace and has a little bit of breathing room, so we really have to just show what these cars can do out here. He's really going to have to start getting into the groove out here. So we'll have to wait and see if Quentin Guinez able to battle, or say are able to catch up to the guys battling in 1st and 2nd. So if these guys keep battling it out, they might have to see in the back of their head, okay, you know what, right now it is between 1st and 2nd. We might just have to try to do this, not get too aggressive just yet and burn through those tires. We might have to just wait until the end of the lap, the last few laps, wait until the end of the heat to really start battling it out. But if I've known these guys, and what we've seen so far is they're going to battle it out any chance that they get. So I think right now Bruno DeCarmo just being a little bit patient with Marco Saavedra, just again looking for him to make any mistakes that he can take advantage of.
Yep. Maybe he's waiting towards the end. Maybe he's waiting for a mistake to happen. Whatever it is, Saavedra is soaking it all in at this point in time, and it's actually paying both of them dividends here by the virtue of the fact that DeCarmo is not attacking. They are matching the pace that Guinness behind is setting, as someone is asking, what is this delivery? Well, we thought it was rusty, and I think it has done the rustic look quite well. It looks as though it's like a zombie car or some Frankenstein car because of how patched up it is in some places. And you might think also Blair Witch Project, but whatever it is quite an eye-catching livery, and it's certainly paid its time in the sun here by being up in front, and we get some screen time with this thing.
I'm just reading what Chad's putting in there too. I don't know. I don't think I'll get in trouble for saying that, but someone's saying kind of looks like he might have went through a bit of a sewer out there. So I'm not sure. Mud, sewage, who knows out there? Rust. It's a little bit hard to tell from this angle, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter for Marco Saavedra as he's still out here in the lead. So still leading over Bruno DeCarmo, but like we said, these guys out there going on. Another battle going on for P4 as well. Gael Valero catching up to Ralph Benitez. So quite a bit of gap. So with the chaos going on within the first couple of laps, how things were going, definitely leaving it, making it a hard time for Gael Valero to get back up on the podium. So we'll have to see, as right now we have Quentin Guinez still setting the fastest lap time out here so far in heat number 2. So we'll have to see. We know these guys, the two French drivers out here today, had the fastest paces, going out there showing why they are the best of the best, doing what they do. Right now, Saavedra still leading over Bruno DeCarmo. Bruno DeCarmo just slightly slower through sectors 1 and 2. So we'll have to see if he's able to catch up, or if Marco Saavedra just might be having a bit of a better pace out here today.
We'll see, but in this particular lap, though, it looks as though that DeCarmo is about 500 behind in that first sector, but he's bound to lose a bit more because the gap is now almost half a second, and Guinness is not catching up as well because, of course, by virtue that he's not in the slipstream, it might just be Saavedra putting his foot in and try to increase that gap. But the across the line they go, it's only about 600, so it's matching. And when I said earlier that they were matching Guinness's time, and look, it does. Look at that, also 58.9. Not making ground here, though. Benitez, he was fast. Valero is much faster, 58.7 there. So we are looking at Guy Valero showing his authority. He is going for the Triple Crown, of course, Kevin. Let's see if we can do it.
So we can see, yeah, great job right now defending off Ralph Benitez. So now it's going to be a little bit of breathing room. I think he's not too worried about the guy behind him. I think he has his eyes forward, trying to catch up to Corentin Guinez. And of course, Corentin now still over 3-second gap between him and Bruno De Carmo. So these guys right now in third and fourth place, really probably just going to try to keep their eyes forward, just get as much as they can. But like we said, we've seen earlier from the last heat, these guys trying to push it to the limit, but don't want to get a bit too aggressive, just because they have been getting quite a few off tracks out there. So right now, Marco Saavedra, Corentin Guinez, two of the drivers that have been cutting it really, really close with the lines off there. So quite a few off tracks. Hopefully no one ends up getting a slowdown out here or end up getting any penalties. We're not even halfway through this race, so definitely things could change at any moment out here.
Indeed, and it's just ebbing and flowing, isn't it? As the Carmo looked at one point, he's going to be lost to Saavedra in terms of how far he was behind. Now he's slowly reeling back in, and he is in that slipstream. It is helping him big time here because Guinness has no answer to it. Yes, he's in clear air, but he doesn't have the slipstream as opposed to what the Carmo has behind, as we have a Korean view in the stream. Annyeonghaseyo, he says. So that's quite nice to see that we have one of the homeboys here watching the stream with us. So hi, Justin, hopefully you're enjoying it so far. As we see coming across the line, Saavedra, what's the time going to be? A 58.8, and the Carmo only is just a couple of hundredths faster than Saavedra, but not much, though the gap is very close here. So it's still ebbing and flowing. We might just see the Carmo plotting something towards the end of this heat, as the Saavedra's under a bit of pressure here, locking up.
So just like that, yep, now we can see Bruno De Carmo definitely starting to put a little bit more pressure at the halfway point out here. So Marco Saavedra, like we just seen, the tire smoke coming from his car, looking like these guys almost on two wheels right there going through that corner. So these guys pushing it to the limits of the car. I think that's really going to what it might come down to out here, is these guys really kind of a bit with the tire management, like we said, trying to be as aggressive as you can, ride that line between trying to find all of the grip, but still kind of getting, that four-wheel slide out here, have that kind of neutral steer going on. Definitely one of these things that the drivers absolutely doing their best. But right now, still lap number 11, so just over halfway through. We have Marco Saavedra in first place, Bruno De Carmo in second, and Corentin Guinez in third, with still about almost a 4-second gap now between Bruno De Carmo and Corentin Guinez. So I think these two drivers up front definitely been having some great smooth lines, but like we said, with the tire wear out here today, they might just be saving a little bit of tire. Corentin Guinez might be playing it just a little bit on the safe side, just trying to make sure he has enough left in the stint towards those last few laps to try and really make up time.
Yeah, but as you can see, he is attacking here, but not by much, because he knows full well that behind him, Guinez is not getting any time on him. In fact, if anything, the Carmo is just happy to sit back there. He's just trying to scare Saavedra into a mistake, but on the positive side for him, he is actually pulling away from Guinez, as now Guinez has company from his fellow countryman Valero and Ralph Benitez behind. We're looking at the battle for P3 behind here in the inset, so picture in picture at this point. We have the battle up in front, as well as the final position on the podium. It can go either way in both of these battles, so hopefully they can keep it going for the next 8 laps or so.
Absolutely. So right here, like you said, with just 8 laps left. Ooh, I'm looking at there the battle going on for P3 as well. Seeing a lot of tire smoke going off the car of Gael Valero. So Corentin Guinez and Gael Valero definitely battling it out. Like we said, Gael Valero just a little bit faster out here today with his lap time. So we'll have to see. That's going to make for an interesting battle going on. But still, Marco Saavedra, Bruno De Carmo fighting it off for the lead. I think now that Corentin and Gael are trying to battle it out for third place, that's left even more of a gap. So just over 4 seconds between second and third place. So I expect I think that gap's just going to keep going bigger and bigger. And I think right now, Corentin Guinez just trying to do everything that he can to fight off Gael Valero. But there it goes. Gael Valero also to the inside, up here, up front from Marco Saavedra. Bruno DeCarmo still in line, but Gael Valero making a beautiful move to the inside over Corentin Guinez, just holding on to that position. But now Corentin trying to do what he can, holding on to that rear quarter panel, going in for the next turn, able to get that inside line, and looks like, oh, a little bit of flashing there from Gael Valero. Oh, those guys going door to door now right here. So definitely holding it on. This is why there's a big gap between them and second place. These guys doing a great job battling it out back side by side. Corentin Guinez just barely has a bit of the line in front of Gael Valero. But like we said, Ralph Benitez also looking to make his move from these two battling it out, Amir.
Indeed, and the more they fight, the more they bring the other driver into play. And that's Benitez. He was about over a second behind Valero. Now he's under that, maybe even more so, because he cannot just watching these two guys fight, and they both take each other out. It's just a free podium position for the taking here for Benitez. So he doesn't have an obligation to fight the both of them. He's just waiting for something to happen, and it's a take two coming to turn number one here. Did Valero get it through this time? Yes, he did. He ran a bit wide that allowed Guinness to fight back, and the both of them looking a bit unhappy at this point because they are battling hard here and they are losing sight of first and second at this point.
And there we can see, so again right there, Corentin Guinez just trying to be focused, trying to make sure as well. Seeing in front of him, Gael Valero just kind of blipping in and out of existence a little bit. I know that's making Corentin just a little bit nervous. That's one of those things you don't really want to go side by side whenever that is happening out on track. You might just blink in and out and you guys get a net code, end up into each other, and both of you off the track. So we'll have to see. I think right now Corentin trying to just be a little bit patient now, as well as having a little bit of pressure from Ralph Benitez. So a three-way battle still going on for third place is left already, nearly about 3.5 seconds, just over. But looking like looking out front too, Marco Saavedra now already has about a 1.5 second gap over Bruno DeCarmo. So it looks like the battle for first place, Bruno DeCarmo might have made a bit of a mistake there. Might have had a slowdown. We'll have to check in with those guys here soon to see what happened there as well. But now Marco Saavedra looking like he might have this one in the bag if he's able to keep it clean.
Yep, as a drift guard is actually commenting right now on the Twitch stream saying the French battle, lovely. It is a lovely battle, but it's to their detriment because we were expecting a fight up in front. And yes, Sweet Tree pointed out that Benitez is behind. He is actually in this particular battle, but he is not engaging the both of them as compared to Valero and Guinness fighting it hard. And it's a still as old as time, isn't it? French and Brazilian battle. We see that a lot in football or soccer, as the Americans will also call it. It's just ebbing and flowing at this point between these three. But Benitez is just watching brief among the three of them. He's just waiting for something to happen up in front, and that's smart tactics. He doesn't want to get involved in any of this and just saving his car for when it really matters.
And like you were mentioning, reading off some of the chat out here. So we do have a lot of guys out here on Twitch and YouTube, but just a reminder, tomorrow, Sunday, August 18th, during our AMX 20 race, we will be doing a Next Level Gear giveaway to our lovely viewers out there on Twitch. So everyone out there, make sure to tune in tomorrow's race on Twitch for that giveaway. Be out here, be chatting away. We'll be chatting with you, see what you guys have. But tomorrow, 7 p.m. GMT, Next Level Racing giveaway for the AMX 20 race. But back to here, we have just a few laps left in this heat number 2 out here today. Ralph Benitez now sitting in 5th place, trying to catch back up to Corentin Guinez. So now Gael Valero slowly getting just a slight lead over Corentin Guinez. But like we said, the battle left a little bit of a gap still between Bruno DeCarmo. So Bruno DeCarmo kind of sitting on his own in the middle. But we have just about 4 laps left to go here. These guys, we'll have to just wait and see exactly what is going to happen out here. Anything could still happen, as we see. Been seeing a lot of tire smoke around that corner, and I'm not sure if that's coming into play really heavily out here with these guys. Starting to slow down just a little bit from where they were earlier. But one person that isn't really slowing down too much still, Corentin Guinez still holding on pretty good. Gael Valero, but like I said, with some of that tire wear, it looks like Corentin Guinez, who has the fastest lap in heat number 2, may be holding on to that as everyone's times have been slowing down. I'd say roughly at least about half a second from where they were at the beginning of the race. So definitely tire wear coming into effect at this point.
And also adding to the tire wear is the heat, because as you can see, if you scan that QR code on the live timing, on the very top of the website of the web page, you can actually see the track temperature, and it is about half a degree warmer compared to when we first started off in qualifying. So that also is a contributing factor why the cars are, the drivers are lapping much slower compared to the first heat. It's hotter temperatures, and that's the reason why the cars are not as fast as they should be. Adding on to that, the tire is also getting much hotter, and that's why some drivers who are struggling with the wear up in front will understeer a bit more. But the upshot is that they wouldn't have to worry about the flat spots, because of course in iRacing, flat spots are not really a thing at this point, so they don't have to worry about that and the vibrations that's caused by it. But certainly they do not want to overheat those tires, otherwise they would be struggling to even get through a corner.
Yeah, so out here looking like well, things have slowed down a little bit from the chaos earlier, but still these guys, I think, like we said, with only a couple of laps left to go now, everyone's going to have to start making their moves, possibly start getting a bit more aggressive, and this is where it's very easy to start making mistakes. But Corentin Guinez now still battling it off up front now, though. Marco Saavedra, so Bruno De Carmo able to start catching up to Marco Saavedra. We've seen over a second gap between the two guys just a couple laps back, but now Bruno De Carmo going, like we said, pushing it, everything now faster through Sector 1 and Sector 2, so he may have just been a little bit patient there. As well as we did see, Marco Saavedra already looks like he is one of the drivers with the most off track, so he might have had to slow down a bit there that we might have missed, that let Bruno De Carmo catch right back up. But nonetheless, these guys pushing the absolute limit of the tracks out here. So with just about a lap and a half left to go, Marco Saavedra definitely going to have to defend for his life for Bruno De Carmo. Bruno De Carmo looking to get in one more win out here. He's currently sitting second in championship points, but he's wanting to get another win out on the board. As the white flag flies, here we go, folks. The final lap out here. Heat number 2, race 45. The Renault Clios putting on a show all day, and it's now down to Marco Saavedra, Bruno De Carmo. Who's going to come out on top? We'll have to just wait and see, as these guys getting dangerously close to each other now. Bruno De Carmo doing what he can to hold on to the rear bumper of Marco Saavedra, but we'll have to see if it is enough for these short laps.
And he may have actually left his attack a little too late here. Maybe a couple laps ago he might have had an opportunity. Now just using the slipstream here, we might just have to force the issue coming to the rin curve. He is doing it, and he's having a bit of a dink, but Saavedra holds firm, and I think he might just be able to hold it through the final corner unless De Carmo dies one. But nope, De Carmo thinks better of it. Remember what happened in Virginia a couple of weeks back? He caught someone to actually spin to the final corner, but it's not to be. Saavedra holds on to it.
All right, there we can see Marco Saavedra coming across the line in first, Bruno De Carmo in second, and Gael Valero coming in third, just besting Corentin Guinez in fourth place. So now as the rest of the drivers walk across it, I think it's safe to say at this point, it looks like Gael Valero looks like he definitely may be very well coming home with the overall race win today, but we'll have to wait for the official results, even further cementing his lead out there. And I think, you know what, Amir, that may be just enough for him to absolutely put the nail in the coffin for this AMX 5 championship. Like we said, we'll have to wait to see what the official results say, as well as we have another race coming up shortly after. We're going to be in the GT4 class, going back over to Sebring International Raceway. So I've ran that track before in the GT4 cars in iRacing, as well as the GT3's big endurance track. Love it. But there we go, folks, your BenQ session winner, Marco Saavedra, coming on top of that top step, followed by Bruno De Carmo in second and Gael Valero in third. In fourth place, we got Corentin Guinez. Fifth, we got Ralph Benitez. Sixth place, Nikodem Wierzbicki. Seventh, Diego Villarreal. Eighth, Gaston Kulavi. Ninth, David Givok. 10th, Ayrton Ruitman. 11th, Evandro Dantas. 12th, Pedro Dean. 13th, Pedro Mura. And it looks like we had Jackson Asenje, unfortunately, retiring from this race. So we'll have to see. The fastest lap, of course, though, Corentin Guinez set that fastest lap early on in heat number 2, and no one was able to take it away from him. Speaking of Jackson Asenje retiring from this race, though, he may very well just said, all right, time to focus on the next race of the day. Get out here. The next AMX 5 race coming up very shortly, but Amir, it has been a great one out here. So, you know, like I said, the Renault Clio Cup cars, not one of those cars that really gets used too much these days on iRacing. So, you know, like we said, one of those entry-level series, but put it in the hands of pros like these guys out here, put it on one of the best shows, I'd say, probably in the last few weeks at least as far as one of the most chaotic showings out here in AMX.
Certainly, we saw that in Brands Hatch. We also saw it here at the Red Bull Ring. It definitely was just absolute manic racing all the way through. And I'm glad to say that we were actually treated to some really good ones. Both heats coming all the way to the final couple of corners. And it certainly proves why slower cars just provide way better racing compared to any more powerful machinery.
Definitely, but we're gonna have to see if we can get a quick word from one of the drivers coming in here. So we'll head it over to the inner room very shortly. Like we said, I know a lot of these drivers trying to get into some practice for the next race coming up, but let's see if we can have a quick word from one of the drivers out here. Like I said, a lot of battles going on, a lot of chaos. So we'll have to see if the GT4 cars are going to be the same. I know Sebring, and that one can be a very interesting one. We see a lot of endurance racing going on there. So a little bit slower cars on a pretty wide track at some parts of the track. So I expect some more door-to-door banging going on. So we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, as well as the final results, I have a good feeling, you know, unofficially, it's going to be Gael Valero taking home the win yet again overall, and pretty much cementing himself as a back-to-back champion once again. So now we're going to head over into the interview room, take a quick word from one of our drivers.
Hearing from you, tell us from your point of view how it went, because I think the chaos at the start of both heats was probably just something to avoid, wasn't it?
Yeah. In the first, after bad quali, my first race, I have very good start, but I got spun out because we went in T2 free wide, so I lost a lot of positions. I was in the back of the grid, but the guys in front was fighting, so I could use that and catch up and gain some positions. And the race one ended up pretty good, I would say, after the start when we have the incident, and I think it's end of the race, but it was all good. And the second race, it was a bit different. I gained a lot of positions at the start, but I'm still learning how to drive the Clio, and I think I was way slower compared to Corentin, so I just let him by and try follow, but yeah, my pace wasn't enough, but it was fun racing and good experience for the another Clio Cup races.
Absolutely. And going back to the whole front-wheel drive car thing, do you prefer that, or do you prefer rear-wheel drive cars? Because we obviously have seen you in prototypes before. Is it completely different of a driving experience that it kind of affects it a bit, or is it the complete opposite?
Well, in my real life racing, I always drove front-wheel drive, and when I jump into the simulator, I love the front-wheel drive cars. But later, when I drove some IMSA, some GT racing, I really liked the rear-wheel drive, and I was driving a lot of them. So now, when I'm coming back to front-wheel drive, it's a bit tough for me. And in the simulator, is I would say maybe a bit harder with the understeer compared to real life. So for now, I prefer prototypes. I also doing now the IndyCar a lot. So yeah, high downforce, fast cars. I love the best. And yeah, I would like to see more open wheels here.
Certainly, I would love to see IndyCar on the schedule in future races. But thank you for coming by, Nikodem, and hopefully we get to see you straight away after this in the GT4s around Sebring. So dzięki, I think is how you say in Polish.
Yeah, Wierzbicki. Yeah, I'm coming for the Sebring too, and for tomorrow races. So it's gonna be more fun today and tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, see you then, and good luck finishing the season on a high.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
So it's great to hear from Nikodem, as well as we've had, of course, out here in AMX, quite a few of the Drago Racing drivers. So that too as well, Nikodem being one of the main guys out there at Drago Racing. Great to hear from him. We got to hear from David Toth last weekend as well. He's going into the AMX 20 tomorrow, looking like he's going to be walking away with that championship as well. So definitely, I know him and his team are happy about that. But like we said, folks, here coming up pretty shortly, we are going to be back in the GT4 cars. It has been some great close racing in those cars as well all season long. Heading over to Sebring International Raceway, and I know a lot of these drivers, like we said, already in the practice over there. So that's a great thing about sim racing. It's just a few clicks away, and now you're halfway across the world again. So definitely going to be a great time, so don't go anywhere for that. Make sure, like I said, follow all of our social medias. We have X, Twitter, that's the same thing. I get that every single weekend. I mess that up. But on X, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, everything out there on the screen. Make sure as well as stay tuned for the next race, as well as come back tomorrow. We're going to be having that next level racing giveaway as well. So be back in a few minutes. I might be hanging out in the chat with you guys during the intermission. So we'll see you all around. We'll be back in a few.
we go racing for heat number 1 here in Austria. Over AMX 20 in towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash. That's a huge lunge from Gaston Calabi, and he's made contact with, I believe, oh wow, it's a chaotic moment here. No slipstream in front for either car, and you could just see Petra Silva pushing Florian Lemigra right over.
Here we go then, Valeri, he looks left, he looks right, he's going to choose the right hand side, which is the inside going into turn 3.
Here it is. This is the crucial moment in this race. And it's looking like it's only going one way. David Dott is going to take the race lead. Heading into the second half of the season, the Hungarian of David Dott has driven a masterclass here with the early pit stop. Not the ideal strategy, but an ideal race winner and an excellent performance.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Right there, Vic Miranda, Peter Zuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone off into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, has already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Zende goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Todd right now going into the pit lane.
Carousel immediately, he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off. He's been tapped and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin! Oh no!
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lawson does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean, and they're coming to the right hand, and this is it. Chris Lawson seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lawson takes it.
back in the USA, back at the beautiful Sebring International Raceway for the final championship series, the finale. I can't believe we're here, folks. AMX 5 Sim Racing World Championship. It has been a great one so far today, and like we said, we're back out here with the GT4 cars now. I am Kevin, and alongside me we have Amir. Amir, we had some great racing earlier on today in the Renault Clio clubs. In the Renault Clio Cup cars, where we got to see Gael Valero once again prove why he is our current champ for AMX 5.
Absolutely. In fact, I think based on the calculations that we've had, it might just be that he clinched the title in the previous race at the Red Bull Ring, but we'll just wait and see first whether or not this final race of the entire season for AMX 5 might just bring us a surprise, though he is in a good position right now. We'll probably need to ask him after this several questions about the next level racing gear, but we'll leave that for now. But I can't wait for this one because it looks good. The field is stacked, the cars are raceable. Can't wait to go here at Sebring.
Absolutely, and I was taking a peek at the grid today. Looking like we have a pretty stacked lineup out there today. So although Gael Valero in terms of championship points is very safe up in that top spot, we know he's going to come back out here for race number 2 of the day to try and just show why he is the current champ. But before we get into today's race, like I said, always, everyone out there watching on Twitch and YouTube, make sure to follow all of our social medias. We have a lot of stuff, especially with announcements, things coming up for season 6. We're going to be out here. This is our final weekend. The time has flown by. But like I said, before we get into qualifying with our drivers, just a quick recap of what we got going out here today. So like we mentioned already, back in the USA at the great Sebring track, we've been out here. Season 5 coming to a great finale. We've been since May 25th, and we are here through tomorrow, August 18th, with this season's prize pool of $15,000 plus next level racing gear. Our qualifying goes as follows for the AMX 5 iRacing events. We have our 20-minute qualifier, followed by a top 15 reverse grid going into that heat number 1 of 20 minutes, followed by another reverse grid into that final 20-minute heat. All of our drivers out there, driver camps are required. You can get the link via our AMX Discord or on our website, and balances are paid out in balances over $100 every single month. So once you hit that $100 threshold, that money's headed your way. We've been here every single Saturday and Sunday all season long. And like I said, if you want to get signed up, we have one more day tomorrow for AMX 0 for anyone that wants to just have fun. Get signed up at amxrace.com, as well as stay tuned for our future calendar. We've been out here every single Saturdays and Sundays, starting at 5:50 p.m. GMT, with a second race followed shortly after at 7:20 p.m. GMT. And every other week, we've switched it up with AMX 0 starting at 5:50 p.m. on Sundays, followed by AMX 20 at 7 p.m. So AMX 20 this season has been one of the best things that we've definitely seen. And like I said, we'll have to stay tuned for next season. You guys are going to have to keep an eye out for what we got going on. But for our AMX 5 races out here in iRacing, this is what the prize pool is looking like for qualifying, as well as heat number 1 and heat number 2. First place walking away with $15, second $10, third $9, all the way down into 15th place. And with the fastest lap being set in heats number 1 and 2, getting an extra couple dollars, coming to a prize pool total of $250 per race. And for everyone that wants to get involved in the AMX 5 races, you must have a current minimum road I rating of 2,000 or greater. So we got to see it earlier on AMX 5. The things get shaken up. Gael Valero furthering his lead, but here is your current top 10 going into the championship race out here. Dino Filippa sitting in that 10th spot, followed by Corentin Guinez in 9th, Toby Soriano in 8th place, Ralph Benitez in 7th, Evandro Dantas in 6th place, Pedro Dean in 5th, Gaston Presta Kulavi sitting in 4th place, and your top 3 we got coming in 3rd place, Jackson Asenje at 554.5 points, Bruno De Carmo sitting in that 2nd spot at 619.5, and your current championship leader, Gael Valero, 725 points. So like I said, Amir, This man out here not having to worry about a thing for the finale. He gets to just sit back, but we know Gael Valero isn't going to just sit back and wait to get the championship trophy. He's going to come out here and put on a show for everyone once again. So Gael Valero looking like he is going to be walking away very soon, but we have one more race to go before we get to that, folks. And like I mentioned, coming up tomorrow, make sure you tune in for our AMX 20 race on Twitch. We're going to be having a next level racing giveaway for all of the viewers out there. So tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT, Sunday, August 18th. And once again, that is over on our Twitch channel, AMX Global. It's going to be a good one. And not just for that, but, you know, like I said, we have AMX 0 before if you want to get involved in that race. But the season finale for AMX 20, huge next level racing giveaway. Make sure to stay tuned. Like I mentioned earlier, we have things heating up. We are coming back next season, season 6 this fall, where we do have new formats coming up. And we heard the folks out there, we heard the drivers, we heard the people watching at home saying we want more endurance racing, and we're bringing it to you, as well as having more tiers going on as well. So a lot of stuff heating up for season 6 being planned. So coming this fall, only a few weeks away. Make sure to head over to our Discord if you want to get all the updates for that as well. And like we said, a bit of a rumor out there that we may be having quite a big event coming up during season 6. So definitely have to stay tuned for what that's going to be. Like I said, Amir, this is probably one of my favorite US tracks, mostly because of the difficulty out here, how bumpy this thing can be, built on an old airfield. But Amir, great racing nonetheless out here at Sebring.
Oh, absolutely. It's an iconic racing circuit in the motorsport sphere, and it's used for international racing, not just the local scene. So, Sebring International Raceway in Florida, opened first in 1950. That used to actually stretch out into the city itself. Now it's enclosed into what is known today as Sebring Regional Airport. Yes, despite this circuit actually being a full-fledged racing circuit, on the other side of the sector, into Sector 3, you can see from here, it is actually a active runway. So it's still used for airliners to land in, or private general aviation planes. It's crazy to think that this 6-kilometer circuit somehow strings its way through the airbase here, or what was known as Hendricks Air Base when it was used during World War II. Now it's a full-fledged racing circuit, as you can see there, the whole view of Sebring. But to accompany the track that we're going to use today is going to be a class of car that's perfectly suited for this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are looking forward to it. It's the GT4 class here in its full glory. About 5 different manufacturers involved, from Mercedes, from McLaren, Porsche, BMW, and Aston Martin. We got the full lot, 350 to 500 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, of course, completely different from the Renault Clios, and weighing from 1.3 to 1.4 tons, depending on the BOP, of course, because balance of performance is a thing here, just like GT3s, and flappy better gearboxes. You don't even have to take your hands off the wheel. Everything is done from the steering wheel to change gears. So, really awesome track, bumpy, with a mix of asphalt and concrete, with race cars that are tuned to go the endurance distance. But today, we're going to go for the sprints. And Kevin, I really can't wait to get underway for this. You were very excited talking off air about how this is going to be the best race to cap off the entire season.
Definitely. So I got to see out there a little bit, kind of peeked into some of these guys out there in between our first and second race during the break while we were in intermission. And it's looking like it's going to be a good one. A lot of these guys, pretty much most of the grid setting 2:11, so great times out here in the GT4 cars. I know it looks like a lot of them. One of my favorite GT4 cars as well, the Porsche GT4 car out here. No, these guys, you can see how close they're getting to the wall there out there. So using up every bit of the track, of course, out here. Definitely, I expect it to be a lot of guys out here coming. So, like I said, we have a top 15 reverse grid going in between the heats. But we have about 19 drivers on the field right now. So these guys definitely going to be having to put them, as we're about 9 minutes into our qualification. Things a little bit warmer out there. The sunny Florida weather as well. Looking about 30 degrees out there. And the track temps sitting around 47 degrees too. So we'll have to wait and see. Looking a little partly cloudy. So I don't think there might be too many chances of rain out here today, but I mean, it is Florida, anything can happen. Things can change on a dime, but definitely out here in these GT4 cars, these guys looking great as we see Nico Wierzbicki, who we got to hear from earlier in the interview room, running with the Rexy livery. So definitely become one of the most popular liveries out there in probably the, I don't know if I'd say it's safe to say one of the, if not the most popular livery in all of IMSA racing. So great to see these guys out here having a great time back on field. We have a lot of great sim drivers out here, the likes of Team Redline, of course, Team Drago here with Nico Wierzbicki, as well as we have Apex Racing Team. So a lot of guys that we see time in and time out, but here, a lot of high-level drivers, a lot of guys kind of sitting in the midfield. Amir, I know this is going to be probably one of the best races so far this season.
And I think it's a great way to cap off AMX 5, isn't it? With so many great drivers involved. We can see Gustavo Ariel, World Championship rated driver, joining our ranks. You know full well, as you can see, the I rating there. Even the table itself cannot fit the amount of I rating he has accrued over the years, especially the fact that his road rating is WC, World Championship, 11,000. It's a crazy amount. Only very few drivers have match that number. The likes of Max Benecki and Max Verstappen come to mind in terms of how high they have earned it. But Ariel being part of this really puts credence to the whole series of why the best drivers come out to play here in AMX, Kevin.
And that, of course, so out there, Gustavo Ariel, one of the few real-life racing drivers out here as well, just getting a pro contract just recently. Him, and we've seen Dino Filippa, who, I'm trying to look on the grid, it looks like he is not out here with us today, but we've had a great time seeing all of these drivers throughout their real-life careers, their sim racing careers. Just seeing, I know this year especially, it seems like just in the sim racing community, if you follow along with a lot of the esports teams out here, been seeing a lot of people come and go, get picked up as free agents for the different ones. But out here, one that seems been pretty consistent from the Delinta esports drivers as well. We have Ralph Benitez doing very well earlier on today, and so far sitting in that third place position in qualifying.
Yep, and Ralph also had a very good outing just now in the Red Bull Ring. He'll like to finish AMX 5 on a high. He's now running his usual standard livery, the Delinte Tony Kanaan colors. We didn't see it on the Porsches, maybe because in the Renaults, they didn't have enough time to make deliveries here. Now we get to see its full glory coming into the final round of the season. It looks as though this particular lap might be a slow one. He just wanted to get some space and probably prime it out for the next one. Meanwhile, further up the road, we see Peter Zuba coming through Jean Bien corner, coming into that concrete section of the entire track. This is where it gets really slippy, but it does show its character, isn't it? Sebring is just several degrees of extremes, I would say, in how a racing circuit can be fit into 6 kilometers.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of these guys have driven this course out for the endurance races, most notably the 12 hours of Sebring. So I know Peter Zuba, he's looks like during those races a little bit more used to something akin of the GTP cars, LMP2s. So some of these out here were slowing it down just a little bit, but with a little bit less powered vehicles, definitely shaking things up a bit. So some of these guys, like we said, are usually at the very top all the time with some of these higher downforce vehicles. Now kind of sitting a little bit in the mid-pack of the field, but we can see as Peter Zuba now closing out another lap. Let's see if he's able to improve on his previous time. Currently sitting in 9th place, and here he comes right there. So moving up a spot now over Gael Valero. So Peter Zuba able to get a better lap time, now sitting up in 8th position. So we'll just have to wait and see. As we see now, our current leader Juan Blanat with a blazing fast 2:11.034 out here. So Juan Blanat currently setting the fastest lap in qualifying. We'll see if he's able to hold on to it.
Yeah, but for how long? Because 400 is not very comfortable at all. He just has to go on to another lap, and in fact, he has. He was in the pit lane at one point, getting ready to get back out, just to wait for the traffic to clear up a bit and just get a clean run on it. Meanwhile, some other drivers on the track, including Santiago Aguiar, who's actually in one of the only McLarens out on track. So glad to see that at least some love is given to the mid-engine rear-wheel drive car here in the final round of the entire season for AMX 5. In the GT4 class, he comes across the line, no improvement that time around. Meanwhile, Gustavo Ariel, all on his own, getting ready to do one more lap here. In fact, this one doesn't seem to be fastest, but you never know what he can conjure up in the final 2 sectors.
So like you mentioned, Gustavo are out here, one of the few drivers that we have joining us that has been in the Pro Sim Racing Series. Of course, you see the black box pop up next to his name, WC. So definitely this guy is no stranger to racing hard. We've got to see him quite a few times out here at AMX, most notably in previous seasons as well, doing very good. So I know a lot of these top sim racing drivers also have a lot of other commitments going on. I know we've seen a lot of people that may not have been able to make it out here, out there doing some other 24-hour races. So like we said, during the summer, it is the season of racing, both in real life and on the sim. Tons of events. So definitely with season 6 of AMX coming up, we'll have to see, which drivers, now that things may kind of be coming down just a little bit for some, heating back up for others. Like we said, a lot of these drivers out here, we've got to see, especially lately, been running some of the IndyCar series. So now that IndyCar is back with iRacing, we can definitely expect to see a lot of drivers taking advantage of that. Some of these drivers already ending up into the wall during qualifying. So they're going to have to reset back to the pits and maybe just have enough time to get one more lap in here possibly. So running to 11s, that's going to be cutting it close for some of these guys out here on track.
Yeah, we can see a few drivers actually coming in close here. Oh, in fact, way too much that time for Bezbicki. He slams into the barriers out of turn number 1. But just now, that was actually his teammate, David Zivok, that hit the barrier. So it was a Polish armada that was racing together. That was Zivok, Bezbicki, and I think Zuba was behind there as well. In fact, it was Lozano in behind all of them in the Drago car. But really, they were trying to actually form a pack here so that they could try to slipstream each other. That pack has been broken up now as we go on board with several other drivers who are trying to improve their lap times. Agri actually does so. The first driver to the 210s.
So there we see the lone McLaren out on there, setting the fastest lap so far. We'll see. We only have a few minutes, so these drivers might have one more chance out here to get in a faster lap time and best Santiago Aguiar. But like we said, it looks like so far that picking the McLaren has definitely paid off for him out here today. So we'll have to see how that translates once we get into heat number 1. But here we go, Juan Blanat now crossing the checkered flag. And looking as he comes across the start-finish line, he does indeed take back that top spot. So the two Argentinian drivers going back and forth out here in qualifying, as well as a couple of the Brazilian drivers. So like we said, we've seen this time and time again. A tale as old as time. Brazil versus Argentina. That's looking like what it's going to be out here towards the top of the grid today, Amir.
Absolutely. They both go at it in soccer, especially on the World Cup stage with multiple titles between the both of them. And we also see it in racing as well. From the Cassia Mines to the likes of Fangio and Senna, those great names that have come out of those two great countries. We see it here playing out in sim racing. Let's see though, who's going to come on top of this one. Because Blanat has laid the gauntlet here. We're seeing if the Ariel is there to receive it. Across the line he comes. Will it be fastest? The answer might be no. He goes second fastest here behind Blanat, but that is still a good time to work on.
So absolutely, there we see it, and that is just a good preview of what's to come once we get into heats number 1 and do a lot of these drivers towards the top of the pack. Man, it's just super close times. Like I said, it's looking like we have less than a second between our top 13 drivers right now. So these guys definitely put it in, and less than half a second between our top 9 drivers. So with these cars out here at Sebring, there are quite a few places, a lot of high-speed corners going into these. So we'll have to see plenty of overtaking opportunity out here at Sebring International Raceway. I think these guys definitely going to see a lot of action. Earlier on, we were in the Renault Clios, a bit slower of a car on a bit tighter of a track. Those guys, it was a bit of a chaos because they had to use every single opportunity, try to force the moves. We had quite a few incidents, so hopefully out here, generally on this track, it is a little bit easier to keep it clean. But like I said, these guys out here with just a 20-minute race in heat number 1 and heat number 2, going to have to make every single opportunity that they can.
Yep, certainly. And for some of these guys for qualifying, that is the end of it, because now there's not enough time to do so. And Galvalero really emphasized the point of why he gave up on that run. There's no more time to do. But for Resende, one of the last few drivers out on track to complete a lap, he might just be clutching at straws here. He's got 20 seconds left to go. I think as he comes around Sunset Bend, he might just be able to sneak in a lap here. But may not be enough for pole position because he's still way off here compared to Juan Blaney.
Yeah, and just looking at there, so like I said, driving the Porsche GT4 out here, it can definitely be one of those that it can be a difficult car to drive, but if you're able to tame it, it's definitely going to pay off big, as well as the McLaren from what we got to see from Santiago Aguiar there too. So like we said, a lot of guys out here, a lot of high-speed sections, going to be a lot of overtaking in my opinion. We'll have to see how hard these drivers push it, but we've seen them before. We know they got it in them, but here we go, folks. Your qualifying results. Juan Blaney coming away with that top spot in qualifying. A 2.10 or 210.810 from Juan Blaney. So getting into the 210s. Gustavo Ariel sitting in second place. In third place, we have Santiago Aguiar. Fourth, Ralph Benitez. Fifth, Toby Soriano. Sixth, Marco Saavedra. Seventh place, Bruno De Carmo. Eighth, Gael Valero. Ninth place, Jackson Senjay. 10th, Gaston Gulav. 11th, Peter Zuba. 12th, Pedro Dean. 13th, Ayrton Reutemann. 14th, David Givok. 15th, Pedro Mura. And the last few drivers that are going to be missing out on that top 15 reverse grid, we have Nico Wierzbicki, who we've seen going into the wall earlier, unfortunately having a little bit of a trouble out here today. Mauricio Lozano, Avandro Dantas, and Diego Villarreal, all those drivers unfortunately going to be starting from the back of the pack out here, Amir.
Yeah, that is going to be putting a dampener on that one, especially given the fact that Wierzbicki we spoke to earlier was looking like he was in very high spirits coming into this final race of the entire season, but maybe he's going to have to put his focus on the race entirely, as he has more than enough cars right in front of him for overtaking and a long lap to start the entire thing. So rolling start here and a full 1 more lap around the circuit before we start the race here, Kevin.
Yeah, looking at that. So one of the things definitely get dicey though here going into that turn number 1. So we have a pretty large sweeping left-hander, and it's one of those you really have to get a great line. That's one of these courses that if you're going 2 or 3 wide, things can end up getting very dicey pretty quick, especially out here at the beginning of the race on the start. Once they get going through there, those drivers still trying to really fight for grip. So I've had that happen in one of the races out here in this track in these cars as well. I believe it's the Michelin Pilot Sports Series going on in iRacing. One of those you see the GT4s, probably the main series that you see a lot of people out in the GT4s. But definitely if you are on that outside line coming around turn number 1, you definitely have to hold your ground, or else it's very easy to someone just get into the side of you and at these high speeds get sent into the wall. So hopefully these guys keep it clean out here, but here we go. Now the out lap has started. These guys in the formation lap following the Porsche safety car. And like we said, it being a little bit of a longer track, this may be a bit of a longer out lap. Doing the full out lap instead of just a partial. So we'll have to wait and see though. But I have a good feeling out here, Amir, that these guys seen just from qualifying, like we said, with just the top 10 drivers out there being so close in time, definitely going to be interesting to see how these guys manage their way through traffic.
Indeed, and the fact that Sebring does offer itself some good overtaking spots, especially coming up now to turn number 7, where it's just going to be a big heavy braking zone. Though you have to watch out. Well, first thing, surface change. It is on the concrete part of the entire circuit, so braking, despite it looks like an easy corner, is easy to get it wrong here. As you can see there, asphalt, concrete, and then back to asphalt. Before coming into the corner, it's concrete again. And you can just use the escape road on the outside there to just save yourself from an accident. But other parts of the track, including turn 10, and then after that up to Sunset Bend, that's probably some of the other prime overtaking spots. So for those guys starting further behind, especially those who are faster in qualifying, they may fancy the chances through those corners. But again, it's all about conserving themselves in the first few corners first to avoid the melee, especially through that very fast left-hander in turn number 1, so that they could actually think about getting a good result here, Kevin.
Absolutely, and like I said, going on to, especially out here at Sebring, the Ullman Straight being one of the most scenic parts. At least we're out here right now looking like about midday going on to the track. So going into turn 17, the final turn of Sunset Bend. I know if this is later on in the day, that is one of those turns that is absolutely blinding to the drivers. So luckily they won't have to really deal with that out here today. But I know that's a big, you have to be a little bit cautious out there. So a big crash, I'm gonna say crash, but We've seen that in some endurance races, both in real life and in the sim, of some of those drivers going out there during sunset into those final couple of corners off the Ullman straight into Sunset Bend, just being absolutely blinded, having to really know the track inside and out, know their lines. So like we said, not having to deal with that too much out here. So we'll have to see how much these guys are able to push it. Of course, Sunset Bend, probably the fastest corner out here on the track. Definitely have to get it just absolutely perfect. That's one that I think we seen earlier, just kind of taking a look at some of the onboards from the drivers. A few people that could kind of make or break your race right there, making up either a lot of time, really getting the perfect line through there, or it's setting you back, leaving the door wide open for other people to just scoot on the inside. So here we go as we are almost near the end of our formation lap. Amir, any predictions for you on heat number 1?
In terms of winners, not really. It's too hard to pick out right now. So many good drivers on the circuit. But what I do think is that first couple of corners may just see some absolute chaos.
And here we go with the safety car off the track. Here we go, folks. Moments away from going green. Heat number 1 out here. Race 46 of AMX 5. Let's go as the drivers are off, and now looking like a huge wide pack going all the way out to the outside, still leading the race. Pedro Mura able to take advantage of that, getting a great start. Oh, already carnage has ensued, folks, on turn number 1. I knew it was going to be dangerous going 3 wide out here, and just like that, we have Peter Zupa, Ayrton Royming, Gaston Kulabi now at the very back of the pack. Man, this is going to be that, and unfortunately, just as someone in chat said, Peter Zupa, this is going to be his heat number 1. He gets involved in that incident right off of turn number 1, leaving Pedro Mura, David Givak, Santiago Aguiar able to lead away from the other drivers just a little bit.
And a bit of a pack is already forming from those guys that were involved in that melee. And one of them is Mauricio Lozano being overtaken there with Bezbiki going on the inside. So he's trying to make amends for his poor qualifying by going out through the field early. Oh no, there's a big accident there. That's a big one. G-Walk, another pole getting involved in some troubles.
But just like that, I know out here, we knew it was going to be a bit dangerous coming out here with these drivers being so close together, so close in times. And another spin out right there. Everyone's getting pit maneuvered out here today. That's Marcos Saavedra getting sent off the line as well. So everyone just getting pit maneuvered out here, man. It is an absolutely crazy one so far. Well, I think, you know, any predictions that we would have made probably getting shaken up already. So Santiago Aguiar definitely be one of the faster drivers now, going to have to really take advantage of being in the lead to try and get a bit of a gap. But I think the top 3 drivers right now may be getting away from that carnage, and just slowly we'll start seeing those gaps increase, as we see here as well. Gustavo Ariel sitting in 3rd place just behind Juan Blenat.
And the big question is, how on earth did Aguiar make that start? Can you remember qualifying? Well, third fastest, he was going to start in P13. How did he end up going to the front? We might actually see a replay of what kind of start that he made there. In fact, there he is now in the middle of that pack behind the 2 Delinte cars. Coming up to turn number 1, this is not going to be a pretty sight, isn't it? So many cars getting involved in that one, and look at that. He made a good start initially, carved his way through the field, and no wonder he made up positions up at the P1 there, because most of the cars in front of him spun out into the first turn, including the likes of I don't know if that's Ralph Benitez, because they are running the Delinte cars, but Gavlero is there involved. You can see at the bottom of that BMW. Mayhem into turn number 1, as to be expected, because so many cars spanning out, you just cannot squeeze them all through.
And just like that, we still see a couple drivers already. Gaston Kulavi, Ayrton Roitman into the pits. So these guys having to get a little bit of damage fixed from that first lap incident. And like I said, going 3 wide, it seems like it's very, very rare to pull that off at this track. It is possible, but definitely takes a lot of coordination between the drivers. So with them being as aggressive as they are just off the start, that's exactly what happens. But now here we see Santiago Aguiar trying to defend off Juan Blenat for that top spot, as well as Gustavo Ariel lurking in the background there. So we have a 3-way battle right now going on for first place. We're lap number 2 out here, out of lap 9 laps out here today in each heat. So like I said, 20-minute races roughly. But we'll have to see Santiago Aguiar, Juan Blenat, Gustavo Ariel, all of these guys top qualifiers in that qualifying heat. So definitely I expect this battle to go on to the entire race, Amir.
I sure hope so because again, so many incidents happening in the background. As you can see, further proof of that one as that looked as though that was Pedro Moro going off big time. Luckily, managed to recover that one as we now, unfortunately, have our one of our broadcast PCs out, but we're back into the action now as we're looking at further behind. This is actually a replay of what happened in the first lap, of course. What happened to Pedro Dean, why he ended up in P17, and Saavedra getting punted off big time, but Saavedra gets back up in front here. Just absolute mayhem in that first lap alone. Oh, in fact, we might actually... Ooh, not sure what's happening here, Kevin.
Yeah, it looks like just a little bit of technical issues going on out here today. So we'll try to keep you back up on the race. So, I mean, still have the time screen looking up, but it looks like it may have paused right now too. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on, if there is something going on with iRacing itself or going on out here. But like I said, trying to keep on. I know the timing kind of paused a little bit, but we're going to kind of get play-by-play going back out here. Santiago Aguiar still out there in that top spot, followed by Juan Blenat and Gustavo Ariel. So although we may have lost the timing there just for a bit, we'll have to see, get that back on. I'm glad at least these guys are running in their team liveries, making it a little bit easier to distinguish what's going on. So of course, right there, Santiago Aguiar, the only McLaren driver still out here. And Gustavo Ariel right now looking to try and make a move over Juan Blenat, going to the outside, doesn't quite have it. So Juan Blenat doing a great job setting up that defensive move over Gustavo Ariel. But we know Gustavo Ariel being one of the best pro sim drivers out here, there's still plenty of time to go on. So we've seen we're about lap number 3 into this thing. Still plenty of time as we go back up. Now we see, all right, the timing screen is back. Here we go. But like we said, I expect this to be a three-way battle the entire time. But we'll have to see, as with it being such a high-speed course, the draft definitely is also going to come into play out here on a few of these straights.
Certainly, and a couple of the straights that go into crucial areas. For example, the start-finish straight into turn number 1, that's a prime overtaking spot as well. But you really have to hang your butt out there and see whether or not you can actually just get the car across or drive on the inside makes a mistake. If you're on the outside or the inside, you just have to be firm on it. But we're coming up now to the other important straight. This is the Oldman Straight coming up to Sunset Bend. Really, this is just one of those overtaking spots that really shows whether or not you're willing to get a play the game of chicken and try to just psych the other driver out coming into it. But it looks as though Aguiar, Blenat, and Ariel playing it safe right now, knowing for a fact that they still have quite a ways away before they can finish the race. In fact, we're playing by time now. They still have about, after this, 15 minutes of racing to go to get by here before they can really sort themselves out into the closing stages.
So here we go, back into turn number 1. And these drivers getting very close to each other. So still Juan Blenat doing a great job. These guys holding onto the rear bumper of Santiago Aguiar. So, man, I mean, I knew it was great from qualifying, but just out here, this is definitely what we love to see. This kind of close racing. Of course, unfortunately, we had a lot of incidents going on early in the race, but the battle for the lead has been heating up as now still Gustavo Ariel just waiting for that perfect opportunity, trying to get Juan Blenat to make a mistake, but Juan Blenat has been absolutely flawless for the most part out here. But here we see Gustavo Ariel now trying to set up on the outside. We'll see if he tries to go for the undercut. No, just still trying to keep it safe. Like I said, it's some of these tighter corners definitely really hard to try and make the move. A lot of these are really trying to have to wait until some of these higher speed straights going into those braking zones. But here we go now, side by side, Juan Blenat, Gustavo Ariel, who's going to come up, a bit of door banging right there. Gustavo Ariel to the outside, getting dangerously close, but now getting blocked again by Santiago Aguiar. So Aguiar right there, unfortunately for Gustavo Ariel, trying to make the move on to Juan Blenat, but also now Juan Blenat setting it up perfectly to get into first place.
Wow, that is snip and tuck, and Aguiar, we thought that because he was up in front, he might just have the advantage with clear air. He is under so much pressure that he can get some of his lines right, and to his detriment, he has lost the lead to Juan Blenat. As you can see, that's Aguiar with a very small camera lens, I would say, because I think it's set up vertical. He's on his phone, of course, so you can see why it's vertical lens compared to somebody like Juan Blenat with a webcam on board here to see his full picture. It looks as though Aguiar just not having pace right now. He's just have to concede that to Ariel as well, losing 2 positions in the space of a lap, and might be 3 after this if Jackson Resende can come by, that will make it a Porsche 1-2-3.
There, yeah, like I said, Jackson really taking advantage of that battle going on, able to start catching up to them. So now what was a three-way battle for the lead is now turning into a four-way battle. But now we are on board the number 12 of Gustavo Ariel, just still trying to find that. He knows he wants the win out here. We've seen him doing pretty good earlier on today, but like we said, Juan Blanat with those moves back and forth. Santiago Aguiar was in first and now sitting back in third place. I think the big thing for Santiago is it's a lot easier when you're only really having to defend off one person at a time, really worry about that. But he had the two drivers right behind him just being super aggressive, and unfortunately he ends up back a couple positions. But like we said, we're only about halfway through this race, folks, so there's still plenty of time for that lead to change again. These guys are going to have to keep it absolutely flawless out here on track if they're going to want to hold on to these podium positions.
Yep, as again, two people behind immediately in your vicinity, it's just going to be double the workload in terms of how you can defend. One guy maybe trying to look on the inside of you, but then suddenly, if the other guy behind sees an opportunity as well, it will be a three-way fight and it will become a pincer maneuver. And that's exactly what happened to Aguiar there for a second. He just boxed in, or rather he got boxed in. He had Blaine on the inside, Ariel behind him, just had nowhere to go. He was just hoping and praying that he didn't get rear-ended. Luckily he did, but he still just couldn't recover that fast enough to stem the bleeding of pace compared to Blainat and Ariel. Now he's gonna have to play catch-up here, but having said that, he's not being lost by the both of them. He's still in it with a chance of trying to get something out of this, even if Jackson Resende right behind there is also looking to pick up the pieces. So top three only separated by about 1.5 seconds at least at this point.
So right here as the driver's coming out of Lamont Corner. So right there, turn number 16, definitely one of those that you have to get a great exit out for the Ullman straight. Like I said, the longest straight out here on the track. And these guys holding on to it very good, matching each other's lines pretty closely, trying to stay in that draft. Of course, out here at Sebring, it's running a little bit lower downforce than we might see at some of these other tracks. So right there, that's what you see with the draft. Really, these guys just having to absolutely be on the rear bumper coming out of that final turn before the straight. They want to make that move, but here goes this Gustavo Ariel diving to the inside. So we'll have to see if he has enough of a pace. Does he have the grip? Juan Blanat trying to hold on to the outside, and ooh, right there, perfect move overtaking Gustavo Ariel over Juan Blanat. So now Gustavo Ariel leading the race over Juan Blanat, and Santiago Aguiar also in third place. So the Brazilian now making moves out here for Brazil, and Team Redline sitting in first place. We'll see. He has a few more laps to try and hold on to this one, Amir.
Wow, wait, what a dive there, Kevin. That was a great move as one of the users on Twitch there. Yes, Drift God as well, who is our usual contributor over on Twitch. What a dive. I didn't expect Ariel to just be that ballsy going through just to get by, but he did manage to make it stick on the inside, because we thought that he was just going to leave a bit of room on the outside for Blanat, but playing back the racing line, blocked past Blanat, and Blanat had no answer to that one. Now he's going to have to start defending again towards Aguiar. We thought Aguiar was going to be lost to the both of them, but he's still hanging on to it here, and there's a slight opportunity that he might just be able to stick on the podium here. But unless, of course, Jackson Resende has something to say to that. Up in front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 Brazilians, 2 Argentines. Bring it on.
And just like that too as well, although these guys are battling it out, they're still being blazing fast out here. There's still roughly a 3-second gap between the top 4 drivers and the driver sitting in 5th place. So Kobe Soriano sitting back in that 5th place has about a 3-second gap between him and Jackson Resende. So we see right now just a beautiful replay of that overtaking move. So we see Gustavo Ariel was just shooting up the inside. I wasn't sure if he was going to have enough grip, so absolutely maximizing the amount of grip that these Porsches can have out here. Like we said, out here, a lot of the Porsches towards the front of the pack now, with the exception of Santiago Aguiar, which once again, the lone McLaren driver out here in a sea of Porsches. So we'll have to wait and see though. Like we said, he was blazing fast in qualifying, but now Gustavo Ariel so far has the fastest lap out here in heat number 1, just barely over Juan Blanat. So expect that to be heating up, as well as here in the middle of the packs, things are heating up again. A couple of these drivers with a little bit of damage to their cars trying to hold it on, but like I said, you don't want that for these long straights of that aero being damaged at all, just not having as much grip as you want. But still, some of these guys from the likes of Lozano and Peter Zuba getting caught up early on in those incidences right off of lap 1 now. Everything's starting to iron out just a little bit. But we see Mauricio Lozano in the number 2 Mercedes AMG, the lone AMG out here on the field today as well. Peter Zuba doing a great job making a good comeback from what happened early on lap number 1.
Yeah, many of these fast guys, including champion-elect in AMX 5, Gal Valero, involved in that one. You remember, he was on the very outside. He got shafted out. In fact, speaking of shafting, that is Peter Zuba right on the back of Mauricio Lozano, and of course G-Walk as well. Both holes are actually just trying to follow here the fastest way around the circuit, but for Peter Zuba, he's got Lozano still blocking. In fact, he's diving on the inside here. Might just be able to make it this time around. Yes, it's a typical pass coming at the 10-10, but let's hope that Lozano doesn't lose too much time giving way, because it's immediately a snowball effect, because one guy passes, more of them will pass through, and that is 3 in 1 sector for Mauricio Lozano. Not a great way to start this particular phase of the race.
Man, just looking at how things are going out here, it's been absolutely crazy. Like I said, I know a lot of people out here. For next season, definitely, we encourage everyone to always get signed up. You can head over to amxrace.com at any time. Be keeping in tune for Season 6, what we have coming up for that, as well as tomorrow for our AMX 20 race. Just a reminder, going to be doing a big Next Level Racing Gear giveaway for that during our AMX 20 race over on our Twitch channel. So make sure to head over 7 p.m. GMT tomorrow, August 18th. On Twitch. We will be live there giving away some great prizes to our viewers, as well as be crowning your AMX 20 champion there. But today it is all about AMX 5, and like we said, Gustavo Ariel putting on an amazing show of racecraft out here today, as well as Gael Valero earlier on today. Gael Valero, of course, like you mentioned him here, the champion-elect, coming in here, didn't have to worry about too much. Unfortunately, got caught up early on in that incident, and now trying to fight his way back up, but still going on between Gustavo Ariel, Juan Blenat, Santiago Aguiar, your top 3 as we go into lap number 8.
Yep, after this with 1 lap to go, Juan Blenat going one-on-one with Gustavo Ariel here. Really intense stuff, fighting for P1 here, coming up to the big overtaking spot at turn number 7. No way through just yet, and then again, it might just be Gustavo just soaking out the pressure, trying to take the sting away from Juan's attack from behind, as meanwhile Aguiar is just watching brief. If something were to happen between the both of them, it is going to be an easy win here. As, oh no! Ariel's out!
So just like that, looks like, I'm not sure if he had a bit of connection issues, what is going on, but yeah, like you've seen, Gustavo Ariel leading the race now out, being dropped down all the way. We'll have to see exactly what happened there. There's something going on with iRace, something going on with Gustavo. We'll have to check in very shortly. But I like that. That leaves Juan Blenat now leading away. So a two-way battle between Santiago Aguiar and Juan Blenat. Of course, Jackson Ascension was in on that battle earlier. Now getting slowed down just a little bit, about 2 seconds. But here looking to the inside, Santiago Aguiar, he peeks in but doesn't go for the move. So now trying to get back in the draft. We'll have to see. Like I said, quite a few people out there in pit lane as well. Gustavo Ariel out of this race. Gonna have to check in on that Ariel. But man, I'm like I said, when there's just so much going on out there, F's in the chat for Gustavo already coming through. But we'll have to see if he gets back out on here to at least finish the race, or if that's going to do it. When we see him come back for heat number 2, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, but nothing that Juan Blenat might be minding too much. He's starting the final lap here in P1 for Juan Blenat. It is a tight race still. We thought for a second that Santiago Aguiar might just lose the pace at the front, but still, he's there, hanging on to it, and he still has every opportunity to take the win. As Vicente goes off, that gives Soriano an opportunity to get by with Ralph Benitez, teammate to Resende, behind him. In fact, oh, there goes the spin. Soriano gets spun around, and so with Benitez, it's just a matter of who can get restarted first, and both cars collided while they were trying to get back on track, and the rest of the field is green flag.
Just like that, we thought the chaos was over, but it still ensues with that, those guys going off track. So now a lot of these vehicles out here damaged, going to be trying to just get wherever they can, finish in the best position, try to maybe set up for that heat number 2. So we'll have to see. Once again, only the top 15 drivers get put into that reverse grid. So currently Villarreal sitting in that 15th place position, may be getting pole as the white flag ensues. That's when either things are going to settle in or these drivers are going to absolutely just push it harder than they've ever pushed. But we'll have to see, as now Pedro Mura leading that pack. So Juan Blenat, Santiago are still battling now up top. Now we have, again, the battle for 4th place as well. And just look at the damage on some of these cars, Amir.
Wow, really second rate, isn't it? And luckily, remember that Top Gear episode where they went to Florida? There was a second-hand used car dealership. Well, most of these cars might end up there for this.
And looking at that, so I was just checking in to see with Gustavo Ariel on the side. So it does look like there were a bit of technical issues. I know we have quite a few people out here too that, of course, throughout the week live streaming and that. So looks like there was a few issues out there. Unfortunately, just abruptly ended his race. So we may possibly not be seeing him come back out here in time to finish. So right now, it's as we go in right here, Juan Blenat still holding on to Santiago R. Can he do it? Can he close it out? I think he just might, Amir, as we see now. Aguiar about just over half a second between him and Juan Blenat, and Blenat finishing in first, followed by Santiago R and Jackson Asenje in 3rd place. So great battles going on the entire time. Unfortunately, we hoped that battle would involve Gustavo Ariel as well, but we also have a few drivers out there in the pits too. So last couple lap chaos going on out here. Let's see what's going to happen for heat number 2.
Wow, I'm shaking my head right now on the camera here. So many things happened, and yet somehow throughout of all of that, Juan Blenat manages to keep his power drive through the whole way and just navigate through the madness to get up to P1. But he'll be starting from P15 after this as Diego Villarreal comes across the line in P15. We flip the script. Villarreal will now be on pole and looking to hope and try to finish the season on a high.
And just seeing as Villarreal was crossing the finish line, seeing him missing his rear wing. So that unfortunately did it. But here is your BenQ session winner, Juan Blenat, winning it out here in heat number 1, putting on a great show for everyone. Coming in 2nd place, Santiago Aguiar. 3rd place, Jackson Asenje. 4th, Pedro Mura. 5th, Peter Zuba. 6th place, Evandro Dantas. 7th, Gael Valero. 8th place, Ralph Benitez, who also set the fastest lap out here. 9th, David G. Vach. 10th, Mauricio Lozano. 11th, Marcos Saavedra. 12th, Bruno De Carmo. 13th, Nikodem Wierzbicki. 14th, Toby Soriano. 15th, Diego Villarreal. And unfortunately missing out on the top 15 reverse grid. We've seen Gustavo Ariel dropping out of that race. Ayrton Reutemann, Gaston Kulavi, as well as Pedro Dean. So we'll have to see which of these drivers are able to get back on the grid in time, as well as get on here, fight their way through. So Diego Villarreal now going to be sitting in pole position for heat number 2. Let's see if we're going to see the same chaos that happened in heat 1, or if we're going to have a bit of a cleaner of lap number 1. I mean, Amir, I think everyone kind of knows exactly what's going to happen in lap number 1 out here again.
I think I agree as well, Kevin. It's just going to be the usual standard fare, isn't it? So many drivers fanning out into turn number 1, but only just so much can be allowed through that first turn that after that it's just all chaos. And we're going to see the exact same thing here, I would say, Kevin.
Definitely. But just as a reminder, while we are back out here on the Outlap, we're having our next level racing gear giveaway tomorrow during our AMX 20 race. So make sure everyone tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT, Sunday, August 18th on our Twitch channel, AMX Global, live on Twitch. Like we said, we've been out here live all season, but closing it out for the MX 20 season finale. A bunch of great prizes out here for the viewers, as you can see out here on screen. Monitor stands, cockpits, wheel stands, keyboard, mouse stands. So definitely see out there 2 keyboard and mouse stands. So we have a few prizes out there. All you got to do is tune into the stream, come out here, watch, chat with us, and we will see exactly. But yeah, a lot of people now saying looks like Gustavo Ariel's that his internet may have died. So unfortunately, that's such a heartbreaking thing to see. I know we've seen it last season as well. Just these drivers during the, I believe, our championship ending weekend on that one as well. That I'm trying to remember exactly which driver. I remember we were out in the GTPs and it was a heartbreaking event there. I'm gonna have to look back on that one to see which driver happened to. But unfortunately, That's just nothing you ever want to see out here. You always want to see the top two battle it out all the way to the checkered flag. So everyone, now we'll have to see exactly what happens out here, Amir, but today it's looking like a great way to close out our AMX 5 championship.
Really, it is, Kevin, because we saw what we can say was a dramatic race from start to finish, and we had a close end to the race as well. That it was only a few tenths of seconds separating Juan Blainat and Santiago Aguiar for first and second. Will we say the exact same thing here? Maybe, but some drivers who were lucky in that first start to get away with the damage may have to try to count their luck, ride their luck again in this one, because you never know what's going to happen through those first couple of corners here.
And looking at the weather right now, I've seen I was looking at one of the chats, Peter Zuba looking, saying, oh, okay, like we said, the Florida weather can change on a dime. So now it's a little bit more overcast out here. The track temps are starting to cool as well as the air temps. So expect these guys to start getting a little bit faster out here. Like we said, we're going to have to keep an eye on the radar, see what's going on, whether or not these guys will finish in time before the rain comes in. But like we said, that Florida weather changes on a dime, both in real life and in the sim. So we'll have to see if these guys can squeeze out these next 9 laps before the rain starts coming down, or if that's going to change things up. As you can see right there, the gloomy skies now starting to clear over, take up the precedence over the beautiful sunny Florida sky. Now it's turning into the gloomy rainy clouds. So like I said, we'll have to see if that changes things up, but definitely these first few laps are going to be just a little bit quicker as long as that rain doesn't start pouring down.
Yep, or those drivers might end up getting short end of the stick if they don't get the pit in time, but we're getting ready to go here, Kevin.
So here we go, and the car is out, the Porsche safety car off now. These guys are leading it green again. 3 wide out there in the middle of the field. We have Diego Villarreal, Nico Wierzbicki leading, going into turn 1. Are they going to have enough grip? They're holding on to it so far. Coming in, now we can see these guys holding on to it a little bit safer of a heat number 2 out here going into turn 1. So great job out here, but these guys still battling very close, bumper to bumper racing going on so far. And we see here Pedro Moura right there going side by side. Pedro Zuba, Santiago Aguiar right there towards the mid back of the pack. So these guys, getting very aggressive already. So we'll have to see if that leaves room for your top few drivers that we see right there. Looks like Nico Wierzbicki behind him, Toby Soriano as well. So someone off the track. That looks like Pedro Din getting shunned off the track. 4 wide now in the back of here.
Oh, amazingly, no major casualties to report. Oh, well, probably spoke too soon. There you go. That is Pedro Moura being punted off into the grass at turn number 7. But either way, the majority of the field got away safely, and that's better to say compared to what happened in that first heat where it was left, right, and center. Well, spoke too soon again. 2 more drivers going off there. You can just call me Harbinger now, but oh, there we go. 4 people go off.
So just like that, what we said was such a clean race. Unfortunately, they did make it through turns 1, 2, 3, 4, but now on the second half of the track, these guys trying to pick up the speed a little bit, still not having the tires as warm as they probably would like to, and these guys just ending up into the side of each other. Unfortunately, we have quite a few people look like a few of those cars pretty damaged, going to have to make it back to the pits. But looking on the timing screen as well, it looks like Gustavo Ariel may have made it back into this one, but he's going to have to fight his way all the way back to 19th place. So here we go, folks. Nico Wierzbicki now still leading it as we go onto the Ulmann straight now. Will he be able to hold on to it? Gael Valero sitting in 2nd place, as well as David Jivak sitting in that 3rd place position.
Yeah, let's see then if the pole can hold on to this position and try to get up to the very front to join his fellow countryman Nicolas Wierzbicki. So Wierzbicki has a better second heat compared to the first one. As we see what happened to Diego Villarreal, why he was on pole position is now all the way back in P50 where he finished that first heat. Well, there's your reason why. He tried to go around the outside of G-Walk, and then he just spun it around, collecting Tobias Soriano in the process as well for good measure. Not a very good start to this second heat and to end of the season. But for other drivers, this is a golden opportunity there to claim some freebies along the way.
Yeah, so like that has left that's left room for Nico Wierzbicki to start walking away a little bit in 1st place now, with over 1.5 second gap between Nico and Gael Valero. We see in second place also a little bit of a gap, has just a little bit of breathing room, but David Givok trying to close the gap on him there. We see one of the Rexy Porsches leading it out now, the number 18, Nico Wierzbicki. So we'll have to see, like we said, Gael Valero, your current champion-elect, he definitely wants to end on a high. We'll have to wait and see if he has enough in the tank to come out here and claim the final victory of the season to round out his championship.
Certainly, that's just the idea, isn't it? Why he wants to end it on a high as champion, but also to win over the final race of the season. As you can see, there's actual dirt on the back of that Porsche. We saw previously, I think it was Saavedra that had the really dirty, rusty Porsche as part of the decal. Well, I think Givok actually has gotten off somewhere that the dirt has gone onto the back of the car. We can now go to the full screen replay of what happened in an earlier phase of the race. Yep, this is what happened to Bruno De Carmo, getting spun around there by David Givok, as a matter of fact. So that's where some of the muck came from. But he got sent off straight into the barriers and losing the rear wing. So unfortunate way to end the season for Bruno De Carmo, who had such a strong run throughout the entire way, but is not going to be ending on a high.
And even like that, even if he was able to get back on the track, once you lose that rear wing, especially at such a high speed course like this, you're just going to have no grip on there. So like I said, unfortunate end for Bruno De Carmo, but still not going to take away anything from his championship run. Him sitting in second place overall points in AMX 5, doing a great job out here. And I know, definitely look forward to see he's going to come back hungry next season as well, trying to get that championship once again, take it away from Gael Valero next season. But here we go. It's some great moves going on there. David Givok, Marco Saavedra, these guys, Gael Valero, everyone up towards the front. Things are starting to heat up just a little bit. So David Givok doing a great job at holding off Marco Saavedra so far for that podium position, but it's letting a little bit of a gap start to gain between third and second position the more these guys battle it out.
Certainly, Ralph Benitez, once again, one of those guys that just happens to be there when the major battles happen, watching brief, waiting for the right time to strike. And in this case, again, it's a battle for the podium. He's just waiting for Saavedra or Givok to just make that move, just trip over each other, and he can take the freebies.
So here we go. So things already in lap 3 of 9. So about a third of the way through this race, and the sky is still looking pretty great. Like we said, track temps are starting to cool down a little bit. So right now, Gael Valero holding on to the fastest lap. Now we have a lot of drivers starting to get into the 210s. So even faster than they were during qualifying now with the track temps cooling just a little bit. So we have David Givok now still holding it off for third place, doing an amazing job right here. This is textbook defending what you want to do out here in the GT4 cars. I'm gonna, I might have to see some of these guys. I know they do coaching sessions. I might just have to see, all right, I'd like to get in some of these races to get my I rating up a little bit, learn from the best of the best. But nonetheless, still, we can see, and I'm just waiting for the rain to start pouring any minute. Like I said, that would definitely be a dramatic ending to AMX 5. See if that lets those drivers out there, see how long they would stay on slicks, or we're going to see as we see just the slightest bit of blue. But now, a replay of an incident from Pedro Dean. So unfortunately, Pedro Dean just getting a little bit squirrely and losing the entire front bumper right there, getting sent into a spin like a Beyblade, coming back onto the track, luckily not taking anyone else out with him for that incident.
Yeah, otherwise he ended up looking like Ray Gun, isn't it, if he actually did so. But yeah, again, just a victim of his own mistake on that one, and not a way that he wants to end up this season.
So here we go. So now still leading it, but now getting a little bit of pressure from Gael Valero. Nico Wierzbicki now just barely getting, but also here we go. Ralph Benitez, Marco Saavedra, these guys going door to door now. Everyone trying to get side by side. Things are starting to heat up just a little bit. Ooh, going for the dive on the inside. We have Marco Saavedra unfortunately making contact, sending Ralph Benitez off the track there. So we might have to see if anyone has something to say about that. Leaves the door wide open for 3 more drivers start making their way now. Santiago Aguiar trying to get back up towards the front of the pack, already up quite a few positions, 8 positions from where he was on the grid.
Well, Benitez and Saavedra there just came together. The cars almost became stuck because of the fact that Saavedra was on the throttle. He tried to get out of there. Benitez is on the outside trying to go through on him, and both cars just made contact on that. Luckily, these not front open wheel cars, otherwise somebody would have been sent into the air. Though to both of their detriments, they did lose ground, and for Benitez, he ended up the worst end, getting the shorter end of the stick, dropping a position behind Aguiar. But luckily though, he didn't get spun out, so he's still in contention here to get a top 5. As we can see what happened to Benitez and Saavedra there.
So just like that, unfortunately, yeah, like we've seen, just getting into the side of him and sending Ralph Benitez just flying off the track, having to drop down a few positions, able to get it back on safely, but that's looking like that may be his contention for trying to get up onto the podium. But speaking of who's on the podium right now, it's looking like we have Juan Blanat now getting into that third place position. Nico Wierzbicki trying to catch back up to Gael Valero. So Gael Valero making the move beautifully into first place. We got to hear from these two drivers. We got to see them earlier as well as now.
Rain,
Amir. Is that looking like rain? That looks like we might have rain on our hands now. So we've seen the clouds roll in, and now this is going to change up everything once again. These drivers are going to have to keep it very safe until they can get into the pits and change their tires.
Wow, we Kevin, what a turn up on the boat, because we thought that the overcast skies were going to stay like that throughout the entire way. But in the end, the heavens have opened up, and this is going to throw a spanner into the works for every single one of the drivers out on track. Nobody has actually gone to the pits. In fact, the entire field have crossed the line here from Valero all the way to Pedro Dean. Now it's just a matter of waiting to see if someone's going to pull the trigger and go into the pits. I think the circuit is just still dry enough in certain areas to stay on the dry weather tires. But remember, some parts of the circuit is concrete, so if they hit those wet puddles or a patch of a part of the circuit that's actually gone completely wet, they can't stop these cars. They're going to go completely off. So for the time being, they're in the safe zone, but for how long?
And this might very well turn into what happened earlier on this year during the official 12 hours of Sebring and iRacing. Once that rain started coming in, it just caused a whole nother level of chaos. So we're going to have to see if that is what happens out here today, back here at Sebring, like you mentioned, Amir, with that concrete just making it that much more dangerous for these drivers. So I think at this point, it's definitely going to come down to, all right, who is going to be better in the rain? Who has the better strategy? Some of these guys I've seen out there on the comms talking with their teammates, spotting them. As we can see now, a little bit of that spray starting to get thrown up by the tires. The windshield wipers are on. We'll just have to see how hard it does come down here. Are these drivers going to pit? Are they going to play it safe? Or are they going to try and get at least one more lap out there on those slicks? I mean, that's really the gamble that's going to be playing out here. This is what makes champions. We'll have to see Gael Valero. We've seen him consistent all season long, sitting in the championship position. We know he wants to come out here with the win out here in heat number 2, but looks like no, these guys are not going into the pits. So one more lap out here on the dry tires. We'll have to see if that's the right choice or not, Amir.
Yeah, certainly we'll wait and see first. Everyone's going into the unknown on this one, and certainly they are actually gonna try to hang it out here, because most of the guys are on track not going to the pits, so they're tempting fate, but maybe they're sensing something that the grip is there. They don't need to come to the pits. But for Lozano, by the looks of it, I think he might have actually gone off big time here, so he might have fallen foul to the conditions.
So here we go, still everyone on the dry tires, no one switching over to the wets just yet. So we'll have to see, like I said, you know, it's hard to tell out here. It's easy to say from the booth whether or not, but if you're on track and you really know how confident you are in these cars, how confident with just not that much rain just yet. Of course, I'm sure we'll see once things start puddling up on the track, that might be when these drivers decide to head for the pits. But again, it may change things up for that final lap or those final couple laps. So here's a quick replay of going on between Gaston Culavi and Evandro Dantas. And unfortunately, just getting shunted in the rear end going into turn number 1. And that looks like that will be it. The two drivers looking like synchronized swimmers out there, both spinning in sync. Man, unfortunate incident right there going on for Evandro Dantas and Culavi.
Yep, as they say, bye, coming into that first corner. You're talking about in sync, of course. But really, it's that was just a result of a collision. That's nothing to do with the wet weather just yet. As you can see, the aerial shot, how much that the skies have changed, and the coloration of the circuit has gone completely much darker compared to when we first started. So really then, the drivers are still seeing that the conditions are still safe enough to use the dry tires. but definitely someone has to pull the trigger and just see whether or not the wet tires are worth it.
So right here we go, folks. So now into Sunset Bend, we have Gael Valero still leading in first place over Nikodem Wierzbicki. So we'll have to see again. These guys still staying out on track, not going in to change their tires. And I think really that's where a lot of the drivers right behind them too are just saying, all right, if you guys aren't going to go pit, we're not going to go pit. So I think right now it's definitely going to come down to how confident these guys can be in the rain. Of course, Wierzbicki, ooh, right there, sounding like he just barely might have scraped the wall, but still right on the rear end of Gael Valero. I know earlier on we got to see in one of the interviews, Gael Valero not the most confident in the rain, but still, like we said, with just enough grip out here. I'm not sure if Nico Wierzbicki is kind of seeing his lines, kind of seeing where he's going on that, and just really waiting to make that opportunistic move, just trying to get into the back bumper of Gael Valero and force him to make a mistake. So right here, two veteran drivers, some of the best and the best we've seen in AMX, now finding it out on dry tires with the rain coming down.
Yep, and we know they're on dry tires because the timing screen that we actually put in the QR code has updated itself to show the tire compound. So we know when somebody's in the pits and changing. In fact, one guy has done so. It's Pedro Dean. He's in the pits with Villarreal, and both of them have changed to the wetter tires. So we can actually see it in our timing screens. There's a W sign with a blue oval on it. That means somebody now will be trying to test out whether or not the wet tires, in fact, two of them are going to test it, whether wet tires are worth the gamble or the gamble to stay on dry is better. In fact, it looks as though, but at this point in time, we are going to really uncharted territory as Gael Valero then. Greeting is Steve. That's the first time ever, as the comments are pointing out, seeing him having a bit of a wry smile, because normally he puts a very stoic look.
So like we said, yeah, looking these two top drivers right now in the front of the pack, looking to get a little bit nervous, really having to focus now to make sure they don't slide off the track. But here we go. We'll see as Nico Wierzbicki kind of peaking a little, but still having to stay in the draft. So definitely, Amir, if this is what we are seeing for the finale of our AMX 5, I can't wait to see what we got going on for our AMX 20 finale tomorrow. And speaking of the AMX 20 tomorrow, the finale, make sure everyone tune in to our Twitch channel tomorrow during the AMX 20 race, 7 p.m. GMT, Sunday, August 18th, where we're going to be doing a next level racing gear giveaway for that. So all of our viewers, make sure to tune into our Twitch channel tomorrow to be entered into that giveaway. Just show up, come hang out, chat with us in the chat, and you may be walking out of here with some next level racing gear, just like our current champ leader, Gael Valero, who, like we said, Amir, I know someone made the joke a while back when he was leading the championship with a significant lead of what he's going to do with all that next level racing gear he's been getting. So we might just actually have to see now that it's come to fruition, but definitely here, trying to hold it down. We are lap number 8 of 9. Still first place, Gael Valero. Second place, Nico Wierzbicki. And third place, Juan Blainat.
Whoa. Blainat, of course, who had to hold up the win in that first heat against Aguiar. How he literally was by the skin of his teeth hanging on to that one. Now he's got a bit of a gap. As meanwhile, somebody nearly goes up there as G-Walk. Gonna allow Saavedra to go side by side, but no way through just yet for the Argentine. As up in front, Wierzbicki and Valero separated by just half a second, and any slip up from one of these drivers would be painful as we are coming into the closing stages of the AMX 5 season.
So just like that, oh, now it looks like the rain is definitely coming into play. We can see there David Givok just starting to lose grip, going wide already on a few turns. So definitely we'll have to see if anyone goes in for the final lap. I think, again, they're going to really have to pay attention to what the leaders do. But again, with the leaders doing a great job so far as the rain keeps coming down. Now there's quite a bit of spray coming off those cars. Definitely making it a little bit harder for Nikodem Wierzbicki trying to get out of that. Once you are in that spray of the driver in front of you, you just have to have absolutely insane focus. Try to stay on the rear bumper. And now going for the move to the inside. We will be able to get it. Look like still might not be enough grip. Oh, but also Gael Valero just getting a little bit squirrely. So here we go, folks. Back into the Ullman straight. Who's going to make it into Sunset Bend first? Now Nikodem Wierzbicki trying to overtake to the inside line. Things might get a bit dangerous out here as we are still on dry tires on the wet track, going into a super high-speed turn right here, the final turn. But oh, the great overhead shot right here. Here we go, folks. looking to it, but Gael Valero still sticking it on the outside line. A drag race now heading into the white flag. This is going to be it going into turn number 1. Who is going to have it here? With Gael Valero still holding the inside line, trying to squeeze Wierzbicki to the outside. Here we go. But Gael Valero, will he have enough grip? It looks like he just might. Wierzbicki trying the outside line, barely going all the way to the outside of the track. And Amir, this is the drag race we've been waiting for all heat long.
Wow, or maybe all season long, a head-to-head battle between two really top drivers in almost equal machinery. Yes, we had that before because remember Jackson Resende pipped to the line by Valero in Interlagos. Now Valero might just try to actually do the exact same thing here against Wierzbicki, who swings it around the outside to take the lead.
Just like that, we see, folks, Nikita Wierzbicki now holding on to that lead. Gael Valero trying to get back, but again, the rain being the biggest factor out here. Their grip is starting to lose over and over. So the upset now towards the end. Gael Valero, there are just a few turns left out here, folks. They have half a lap to go out here in the white flag. So such a great way to end our season finale. But like we said, it isn't over until it's over. We've seen Gael Valero be down in this position before. Like you mentioned, Amir, when we've seen them at Interlagos in the Formula cars out there, able to come back. But the rain changing the story out here as we see another one going 3 wide nearly there. Ralph Benitez, Marco Saavedra, David Givok. So things are heating up all the way throughout the entire grid as we now are going to be going up. It might come down to the Ullman Straight, who goes into the Sunset Bend and going out, as these guys, all of them still doing a great job on the dry tires. A little bit of sun starting to come out as well. So we're going to have to see, Amir, what's going to happen as we go into the final last couple of corners.
Yeah, let's see that half a second between Wierzbicki and Valero. So Wierzbicki had the pace in store as Givok goes off, and Valero goes off as well. He spins.
So just like that, an unfortunate turn of events, we see Gael Valero leading the race, now ending up spinning, going down into 4th place. That's going to leave the door wide open. Juan Blenot doing a great job holding on to that. Nico Wierzbicki now back in 2nd place. It's looking like it's going to be Juan Blenot as long as he's able to hold it on the final corner. Here we go, folks. The last few meters of the track. Juan Blenot with the upset win. You can see the smile on his face right here coming across the checkered finish. He held into it. He was doing amazing early on in the heat. The rain came in, started shaking things up. These guys started going door to door, side by side. A bit of incidents going on, but nonetheless, Juan Blenot persevering, able to say it's not over till it's over. And just like that, coming away with the win here in heat number 2.
Oh, wow. Blenot might have clinched that one by virtue of the fact that Wierzbicki and Valero were actually duking it out, and we saw Valero as up in front because maybe both of them actually touched on the way through the start of that straight at the Ullman Straight, and after the collision just let Blenot through with a double today. Blenot probably thought he was just going to set up a podium, but instead he has 2 wins under his belt.
So just like that, looking great for Juan Blenot. Unfortunate, the heartbreak right there as we see the replay. Just getting a bit squirrely, and boom, right back into the rear of Gael Valero, unfortunately sending him spinning. So it was looking so close that Gael Valero was going to have the last minute comeback to win this, to close out his championship season. So just absolute heartbreak going into that, but nonetheless, a big congratulations to Juan Blenot, able to take the back-to-back wins out here, heat number 1 and heat number 2.
Wow, what a way to finish off the season with a very dramatic race. It's just encapsulates, isn't it, how crazy a race can turn. You might think it might just turn into a very normal boilerplate race. Suddenly, it's turned on its head to become one of the most dramatic ways to finish off an entire season.
Man, and just like that, we knew it was going to be a great end to our AMX 5 championship, and we were not disappointed. Everyone out there putting on a great show. And once again, huge congratulations, your BenQ session winner of heat number 2, Juan Blenot, the back-to-back wins out here today at Sebring International Raceway. Coming in 2nd place, Nikodem Wierzbicki. In 3rd place, Ralph Benitez. 4th, Gael Valero. 5th place, Toby Soriano. 6th, Jackson SNJ. 7th, Santiago Aguiar. 8th, Bruno De Carmo. In 9th place, Gaston Kulavi. 10th, Pedro Mura. 11th, Mauricio Lozano. 12th, Ayrton Reutemann. 13th, Peter Zuba. Coming in 14th, we got Marco Saavedra. 15th, Evandro Dantas. And unfortunately, we had a few guys in the incidents there towards the back of the field. But 16th place, we have Pedro Dean. 17th, Diego Villarreal. 18th, David G. Vach. And unfortunately, we've seen Gustavo Ariel having to call it quits on this, having some technical issues. But Gael Valero is still able to set the fastest lap time out here in heat number 2. So, Amir, I don't think we could have asked for a better end to our AMX 5 season championship. Maybe the only thing that would have made for a picture perfect ending would have been Gael Valero with the last minute comeback to win. But unfortunately, that, as they say, that is racing. So, man, I'm almost at a loss for words here, as we've been many a times out here at AMX. Those last minute incidents, those last to the line coming down to, you never know what's going to happen, folks. So like we said, if this is any bit of a preview for AMX 20 tomorrow, man, I'm even more excited to see what happens during that.
Yeah, especially given the fact that it's in GT3 cars around Spa. What a way to finish it off, isn't it? We will have weather affect that too. Who knows? But the way the AMX 5 finished here just really was encapsulating what has been a brilliant season.
Definitely. And like I said, as well as make sure everyone follow our socials. That's where you heard it first. Again, big announcement for tomorrow during our AMX 20 race. We will be doing that next level racing gear giveaway for our viewers. So coming home today, looking like Gael Valero will be taking home some next level racing gear, as well as tomorrow during our AMX 20 stream, 7 p.m. GMT tomorrow, live on Twitch. So you must head over to our Twitch channel, get in there, chat with us, and be entered in to win some of that great next level racing gear. But we back to today, closing out AMX Season 5. I mean, we're going to have to see if we can get some words in from some of our drivers out there. Of course, coming into this one, Gael Valero coming in the champion-elect, and now coming out of here, another champion, Amir. So back-to-back championships for Gael Valero. I know he's definitely, you know, mixed emotions right now, not getting the win, but knowing he's coming out a champion once again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mixed emotions, but again, I don't think he'll be too fussed by it, knowing for the fact that he already had most of the hard work done. Now he's just gonna be reveling in getting the rewards out of it.
Absolutely. So we're going to head over to the interview room to speak with the champ himself, back-to-back Gael Valero.
Yep, definitely. And now we're going to get Gael on board here. So, bonsoir, Gael. I don't think it was the best way to finish off, but the way that you were smiling throughout the entire way, especially...
good fun.
Yeah, you were smiling throughout the entire way. Let's just talk through how it went in that race, in that heat 2.
Well, I learned through Peter that we would have rained. I didn't know. wouldn't have changed anything anyway, since we didn't change tire or anything, and the race was not long enough. But yeah, it was about evaluating the track conditions, lap by lap, turn by turn, and pretty soon come to a realization that we're not gonna turn anymore.
Yep, and the fact that we have on our timing screens now the wet weather compound, so we know that you guys were on dries and you were contemplating pitting, but was it worth it in the end, or maybe just going out all the way and try to just stay on the dries as long as you could?
And it's not really worth it. The pit stop change is 30 seconds. In the end, we lost around a little less than that, actually. We do 6 plus 12 plus 10. So around 24, something like that. So yeah, in the end, you had the pit exit and everything. So yeah, you would lose out at the end. It was just a matter of staying on the track and crossing the line with the dries, staying out there.
Yep, certainly. Given the fact that Sebring's pit lane is not like Silverstone's, where it's very short the entry. But yeah, here's the big question now, because you are champion again in AMX 5. What are you gonna do with all the next level racing gear? Because I think your house is gonna be full of the stuff now.
But I don't have space to make a sim racing simulator business. Building Apex Racing simulators too. But yeah, we'll see if I have an opportunity to share the passion.
Yep, certainly, and it will be a delight for everyone to see how you've used the prizes properly. And one last thing, everyone was noting that you were kind of like showing your teeth a bit. Was that grimacing or was that a smile because you were really enjoying the battle, or was it really on the edge because it was raining?
Yeah, no, it's just funny for you guys. No, we know you're watching, so you know, doing the cat style, getting down, have less wind on your head, grimacing, you know, having fun in the moment.
Absolutely, we really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of people on chat on YouTube and Twitch. Finally seeing smiling Gavalero on camera, but again, très bien and felicitations. Let's hope that you can end the season on a high tomorrow, especially in AMX 20.
We'll see. Another pit entry that's gonna be suspicious.
Well, that's gonna be a point of contention. But again, merci, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
So that is Gavalero looking as though he actually had really some real nice quips that we can put up on social media after this on why he was saying staying really focused in the race while giving us something to talk about in the chat. But in the meantime, though, we're still seeing whether or not we can get one more driver on board, and I think it's no surprise that we have the man of the moment here today, and it's none other than one Blaynat who took the double here at Sebring. So, without further ado, one, congratulations, felicidades. That was an amazing run, especially that first heat where you held off towards the end. But before we go into all of that, did you expect to actually come into here to literally take all 3 sessions?
Hi. First, thank you for the felicitations. I think I have a good quali, a good lap quali, and then the first race I have lag in the turn 1, and then I have a good pace to go.
Alright, take it easy.
Wait.
Yep, take it easy. We will have all the time in the world right
I
now.
have a good pace to advance. And then in the second race, was very lucky at the end because the rain, and I go very safe because Nico and Gael was battle, and I go safe, and then they touch and they have a contact, and then I pass.
Certainly. The most surprising way to take a win, but were you expecting that to happen, or you were just playing it, as you're saying, playing it safe? Was that the strategy the whole time?
In the second race, when it started rain, I was very difficult, but I go safe, no more than that, and wait for the race, wait the laps, and not get don't make crazy.
Yep, certainly waiting for the race.
Sorry for my English. Sorry.
It's no problem. I think I'm filling the gaps for you. It's just you're waiting for the race to come to you, and it did in a big way. So again, I think maybe pit stop was not going to be a thing because you lose so much time. So you're just going to hang out there, aren't you? Because the pit stop was not worth getting onto the wet tires.
No, because when it started rain, I think 4 laps to go, I think, to the finish. Now to pit, we lose a lot of time.
Yep, certainly. And that's exactly what Gael said as well. But again, felicidades and gracias for the interview. We'll see you tomorrow night. Buenos noches.
Thank you. And I make no, nothing.
Okay. It's okay.
Nothing, sorry.
Have all the time in the world you need. But once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Triple Crown winner, 3 sessions in a row. Let's hope you can finish it off on a high tomorrow night.
Yes, so good. Good night.
Yep. Yes, thank you. Gracias.
But it's always good fun now, kind of seeing the back and forth between Nico Grzybski and Gael Valero. Just the incident that happened on that last lap, just the drivers apologizing. So once again, it's always great to see these guys. You know, it was an unfortunate thing, but nonetheless, Gael Valero still walking out of here, your AMX Season 5, AMX 5 champion. Once again, we have a great one tomorrow to finish off the AMX 20 championship. David Toth leading with a significant lead. Like we've seen, he's in a similar spot to Gael Valero, how Gael Valero was today. Not really having to worry about it too much going into that tomorrow. But like we said, we know that he wants to take it home and end on a high tomorrow. As well as everyone tuning in on Twitch and YouTube, make sure to stop by. But here is your race winners for race 46 out here, the finale of AMX 5 racing, AMX Season 5. Juan Blenat coming away in that top spot. Of course, Amir, he's got the triple crown out here today. Back-to-back races out here, Juan. In second place, we have Santiago Aguiar. And in third place, Ralph Benitez. Coming in fourth, Gael Valero. Fifth place, Jackson Asenje. Sixth, Toby Soriano. Seventh, Pedro Mura. Eighth, Nico Wierzbicki. Also, a three-way tie for eighth as well, Bruno De Carmo and Peter Zuba. So that is our results for today's race. Your championship winner, Gael Valero for AMX 5. Tomorrow we'll see David Toth close it out in AMX 20, as well as everyone out there tune into our Twitch, specifically tomorrow on Twitch for that next level racing gear, 7 p.m. GMT, Sunday, August 18th. Get yourself some of the prizes just like Gael Valero, and looking like very well, David Toth may be walking away with it tomorrow. But as always, a big thank you to everyone watching, from everyone here at the AMX crew. The season finale continues tomorrow, closing it out with a bang. But we will catch you all tomorrow.